Good evening and welcome to The Real Study with your hosts, MrSniDBitS.
So like two teams with that movie, it seems like either people love it or they hate it. Okay, I do too. I do too.
Yeah. BlackGirlMarvel.
I cried laughing. That was hilarious.
Tylermakesfilms.
It's meant for us to kind of contemplate. Like, I don't think his response to me is completely appropriate. Like, it makes sense that he would react that way.
Allthemoviethings.
I think the thing why I enjoyed it more too was the fact that we were going to talk about it from this perspective.
The pre-review with Biggie.
The pre-review is where I tell you about upcoming movies coming to movie theaters and beyond.
And me, the Real Study movie voice guy.
I probably would have been in love with this movie as well if I had watched it earlier, like when it came out, or maybe right after.
Let's go to the poster wall.
Nice. Hello, you guys. Welcome to The Real Study. I am your co-host, BlackGirlMarvel, and to one of my sides is MrSniDBitS. We have Lieutenant Commander Ray, and as you can see, back with us is Tylermakesfilms. We're so excited that he is here. We are talking the Mummy Trilogy today. That's uno, dos, and the third one. Because I'm gonna say the name of that one because that one disrespected me in a lot of ways. But we are here. And before we begin the show itself, I want to implore everyone to follow us on all social media.
Yes.
That is TikTok. TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We are everywhere. You can follow us separately as well. You will see all of these links. Ooh.
Only on Twitter if you only want to get your 600 tweets. Just putting that out there. So
hilarious. We might be, branching out to other social media platforms, but we'll be seeing about that. But until then, all of our separate social medias, as well as the social media for Real Study, will be somewhere for you to dig into and everything. Please, if you can't watch us on YouTube or streaming on Twitch or anything like that, you can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, all the podcast places where you listen to podcasts. The Real Study, like a film reel, REEL, is everywhere. And I ask you all to join us on Discord. We are there. We are talking Star Trek. We are talking Marvel. We are talking DC. We do not shy away from the fandoms. We talk about Doctor Who. We talk about everything. We talk about some stuff I ain't got no clue about, but I'm not in those sections because I can't say nothing about it. But please join Discord, become a real student, come on in. Maybe you can suggest something for us to partake in and watch. We do have veto status. We rarely use it, really, but when we do use it, I think we've used it twice. No, I think once, and that was in the way beginnings of things.
Or if we've already reviewed it. If we've reviewed a movie, we likely won't revisit.
We won't review it again. But we will be go check out this episode for you to see. But please come join us on Discord, follow us everywhere, and just like and sub and share this around. Just help us. If you can't help us by, throwing some money towards our Cash App or anything like that, the likes and the comments and the sharing and the joining in all helps as well. We appreciate you.
100%. Thank you, BlackGirlMarvel, for that. And of course, tonight we have Lieutenant Commander Ray, who is our resident Star Trek expert, as well as our resident, extra host, or however you want to put that. She's always here filling in and is a part of the Real Study. And then Tylermakesfilms is back. Of course, Tyler is just Tyler now, but he still does make films. But it is great to have you back as well, sir. We will be covering the moon.
I was lost. I was just walking around. I didn't know where I was for 2 months, and now I'm here.
Well, you're back, and that's the most important part. I noticed you have a Stranger Things shirt.
The sun has returned.
Right. You have a Stranger Things shirt. We are kicking around the idea of being a podcast that covers the Stranger Things series before season 5 comes out. So we might be setting aside a couple months next season for that. So look out for that potentially.
Yeah, because I haven't seen it. So.
And I want to watch it again, and there's no reason we shouldn't discuss it. Tonight, though, is our now long-awaited Mummy Trilogy. This is, of course, the newest or second oldest Mummy series. Brendan Fraser. This is, of course, also Oh, who is the director of these movies, of the first two? I forgot his name. Steven something or other. Anyway, more of an adventure director. Not Soderbergh, but
yeah,
Soderbergh. Yeah, that would be weird.
I'm just throwing out stuff. I'm like, I don't know.
Right. So those first two films are by that director, and then the third one is done by Rob Cohen, who is of course known for Fast and the Furious. That was his big, that or Stealth. That was just kind of his thing. And then our final episode.
Stephen Summers.
Summers. It was definitely.
I just wanted to get that out there.
Yeah, 100%.
Because my brain was like, wouldn't let me do it.
And then next week, which will be our final episode, we were going to do Guardians, but Disney being what they are lately, they pushed Guardians till August, so we won't be able to watch Guardians 3 until it hits there. So we're going to do our last episode will be all horror. We're going to be doing, as far as I can tell, don't quote me on this, it might change by next week, but Bodies, the new Evil Dead Rise, and then Pearl, which is the sequel to X, or prequel to X, if you will.
There is a possibility that I might not be able to be on that show because I will be in Arlington, Virginia.
So it'll be BlackGirlMarvel on the go. We'll have her live while she's running around, doing things.
Honestly, I mean, we're not really running around because I'm going to a convention called BlurCon, and the first 2 days, Friday and Saturday, are like the big days. Where people are like partying and doing things, and then Sunday it's like a little bit lighter, and it's like later in the evening. It's like at 9 o'clock, so it's a possibility that I can like disappear, and then be on my phone if that's okay with you guys. And then
you'd be live from BlurCon. That'd be dope. Like that'd be great.
Yeah,
where is it at?
I'll be live from my hotel, but because you wouldn't be able to hear anything if I was actually live from BlurCon. But I will be sharing videos.
Last year it was digital.
Last year
it was all online because Blurred Girl, who wrote the Dora Milaje book, she was promoting it last year. So is it?
It was in last year. It was in person last year. I was there last year too. It was in person. It's always in Arlington, Virginia. So yeah, it's always there. Well, from what I've been seeing, they might switch up. Who knows? I think this is only like the 4th year this is going on. This is a fairly new convention that's been brought together. But yeah. Arlington, Virginia. So shout out to those people there. I've been there once. It was nice. They have like food stuff. They have live performances. They have like they deck out the whole like hotel. It's like the bottom half is like all video games and like arcade-ish type stuff and like new things. And then people have like panels and they have people to buy things and food. It's crazy. It's a lot of fun just to be around nerds. Last time I was playing Just Dance, all sweaty. Like just playing. Gonna be okay, like just dancing and stuff. So
the little kids like, give me my turn. You're like, oh, it's just dance.
Like, hey,
just get out of my way.
No, literally, it's a lot of fun. So I implore people to go to conventions because they're just fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
We are, of course, going to cover a little bit of news. We didn't have a ton of news this week, but we will cover that. We'll be right back.
Now it's time for the real news.
And we are here to discuss the news. And so there are some things that have happened. We are still hearing potential concepts of another strike, at this time from the SAG folks. And that would, of course, take anything that's already not at a screeching halt to a full halt. We lost Ray. Hopefully we'll get her back. We've got the new Superman and Lois Lane were picked for the new Superman Legacy movie. I'm excited because I don't know who either of these people are, and that's great. I love the idea of somebody.
I know who Rachel Brosnahan is. She's the lead in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, but also she's done some. I want to say she was like a kid actor too. Like she's done some things like kid actory things and made her trajectory up until. But I will say The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is what made the world like. That's like her breakout, even though she's been in the game for a while.
Sure.
That's been her breakout. The guy, I don't know him, but he looks like if
they made Clark Kent on a conveyor belt.
No, like right. For real. Like he looks like the love child of like Christopher Reeves and Henry Cavill. Like they just got together, had a little kid. I feel like they picked the perfect person because she looks like a Lois Lane. She's like, she got that pale skin. She's got the dark hair.
Yeah, love the hair.
That's classic Lois Lane. But also I know that as an actor, she can be like quippy and she can be like tough. So I'm excited to see what she brings to the Lois Lane, because no offense to Amy Adams, but no.
I agree with you 100% on that. Like, I like Amy Adams, but no.
I love her. I love her as an actress. I think she's amazing, but I don't think the direction she got to be Lois Lane was there. I don't think they knew what they wanted to do with Lois, because Lois was a spitfire, and I was just like, why is she here? But anyway, and the guy who was playing the new Superman, I think he looks great. I'm sorry, I don't care. I'm Team James Gunn on what he's bringing to the DCU. So fight me if you want to. You're gonna lose, because because James Gunn is a nerd, and he reads comic books, and he's all into that stuff, and that's the perfect person you want at the helm of creating these things. And I think rebooting it, in a sense, is the smartest thing that they could do, because
the way you said nerd sounded like this. It sounded just like that. You're like, nerd. I was like, okay, that's awesome.
Nerd.
I love it. What do you guys think? What do you, Ray? What do you, Tyler? What do you guys think? You guys excited? Do you care? Are you burnt out on superhero movies at this point?
Burn out on superheroes, first of all. I categorically don't believe that that's a thing.
Come on.
Okay, good.
So, no. I love a good Superman story. I think each one has been very unique and specific to the time in which they were made. And so I'm sure this one will be the same. So I hope that it's layered and he gets to be Clark and not just Superman. So I'm looking forward to hopefully it being good.
All right, Tyler?
Yeah. I mean, probably not good for a podcast, but I generally, like, recently, whenever it's like a superhero movie now, I don't look up anything. I kind of just do. And I work at a theater now, so, like, even just, like, the scenes I've seen from The Flash, whoa, that movie sucks.
Listen,
I don't know how else to put it.
It does.
There's literally a line where he's like, I don't know what character, he's like, so he can go fast. And I was like, no, who's doing this? Who's writing this dialogue?
Yes.
Why?
Yes.
I think there's babies being thrown around in at some point. Literally, there's
not so much thrown. Well, kind of thrown around. Like I know y'all.
Are you talking like Mega Mind baby throwing? Like
no. It was like they.
You might as well have it.
Big thing happened in, like, I want to say Metropolis. I think it was Metropolis or something like that.
Right.
Because they crossing, like, Metropolis and Gotham in this film seem like they right next door to each other. But anyway, I know he
that
fast.
Felt the same way in the other ones in the DC.
I was like, okay, when has that ever been a thing? But it was a scene where, like, Metropolis was, of course, because something's always happened in Metropolis, is the country New York. So the hospital was being like I think an earthquake or something happened, and then the foundation collapsed, and the nobody helped this lady get the babies out of the ward of, like, the NICU or whatever. And so when the building slid and collapsed, all these babies fell out the window, and including the nurse, the only nurse that was in there trying to protect the children during this time. And because the Flash can, like, when he runs, for us it's like super slow, but for him it's like super slow, and he's like looking at everything. He's surveying the air and being like, all these babies, and this lady's screaming, and a dog or something like that. And so you see
he grabs
him
more
slowly,
than one person at a time.
He pushes it's kind of like Quicksilver-y, but not done as well, because he's like pushing things in the direction, like he put a baby in a microwave, and closed the microwave and put the microwave down somewhere. He put another baby somewhere else. Like, he was putting babies in places, and then he saved everybody. And it was like, yay, he saved everybody. But I was just like, this was unnecessary. We didn't need this. This could have been, it was either unnecessary or it could have been done better.
That and then seems all with like the context DCU. Of like Ezra Miller, just like it just felt
right. And so with him, I don't like him as, like, I don't know him as a person. What I've heard about him as a person, what I heard about them as a person, because I'm gonna respect them. What I heard about them as a person, I don't particularly care for, as well as the footage that I've seen of them, like, punching a lady and choking out people. And
that was the first thing we ever saw Ezra.
That was the first thing, like, and supposedly kidnapping people and whatever else it was he was doing, grooming and all those things. As an actor, I don't like him as Barry Allen. I know he's done other things. I liked him in I liked them in Fantastic Beasts, because that was
being
fine.
A good actor.
Yeah, I mean, it was a smaller part though.
Being a good actor has nothing to do with being a good person. So, like, Kevin Spacey was a fantastic actor. He's an evil human.
Right.
You know, so like those things can be separated, but sometimes people can't separate the art from the artist, and that's okay. You choose.
I'm still struggling
to do what you want to do. I'm not really struggling with him. I'm
struggling. Oh, you can't read it, but Buffy, I'm still struggling with. So
I don't. I mean, for me personally, I don't struggle with Buffy because I don't see Joss Whedon when I mean, I could because I know that he like his writing and his style, but it's like I don't see him. I just see the actors and I just see like what's happening. Ezra Miller is right there as the Flash, and I don't think that they are a good Flash. I think that I don't know what they did in an audition for them to be like, yeah, he's there. Ezra Miller's the one, and I'm just kind of like,
it's because he knows how to throw his arms like this. That's why, because he can do that.
I will say they cleaned that up in the Flash.
They is what I meant to say.
No. Yeah. I'm saying they as like the corporate, like whoever's directing, because I'm pretty sure Ezra Miller didn't say, hey, let's tone down my arms. I'm sure they didn't say that, but I'm saying they as like the company, like DC. I think.
So let's give
DC
them less platform and get back to the two amazing individuals we're hoping will be Superman and Lois real quick. I wanted to make mention.
Rip this movie so bad.
Oh, no, and we will. I promise we will review it. Even I do want to, but I got to wait until I'm not going to pay anything extra to watch it. I'm not giving them a dime.
I do not blame you. I saw it as a free screener. So come on.
Right.
I'm sorry for free.
And like if Tyler went to see it, he works at the theater. It's going to cost him $0 to watch it, except time. So I respect if he watches it.
So I respect.
And I respect anybody who chooses never to watch it. That's your call. But don't get on people who decide to. Like that's their call. And then that's fair. That's fair.
That's what I was about to say that too. You can, if you want to watch it and you have no qualms about, I have no problem with that either. That's your choice.
Last bit of news for it, really quick.
Sure.
If anyone wants to watch it, on opening weekend, it made $55 million. The budget was $250.
Yeah, it tanked.
It was a bomb.
Yeah, you won't have many people in the theater if you want to go see it. You can go see it basically empty.
No, yeah, the Flash tanked so hard, and people, all the articles about it is hilarious because I was like,
I can't admit that I've ever bought a ticket for something else, and then gone to a different theater. I'm not saying I've ever done that, but I would consider it at this time. I would consider.
Me too. I've also
like give another movie the money and then just go watch The Flash because you'll watch that other movie later on anyway, or whatever it is.
For sure.
Or if you already seen it, go.
You go to
that.
$5 hurting anyone.
Right.
Nobody.
Honestly,
nobody.
No, I like it.
By the time anyway, that's what you're getting my money for real.
I wanted to touch on something Ray had said about these different iterations of Superman because I think it is really important to talk about Superman considering the character gets treated a lot of different ways, but ultimately there's supposed to be this sign of hope, and they even say it in the Man of Steel movie. He's a sign of hope, but then I'm like, except your entire premise and the entire DCEU is just desolate and just gross and I found nothing hopeful in the DCEU. What you said that was interesting to me is that in 2012 or so is when Man of Steel came out. Things were hopeful, right? So we even had hopey changey, if you will, to use a terrible term from one group. We had a lot of hope in that era. And so dark movies about desolate worlds and things made sense. I think this Superman is going to be exceptionally hopeful because we're in the opposite time now. So I think we're going to see a flip. So at least I hope to see a flip. So
I hope it's like that because I feel like even if the world is in darkness or dark in some type of way, he has to be the light, the hope. So it'll be nice that like, because they didn't have that. As much as I love Man of Steel and I love it, I wish there were a second one so he could have got to that hope status. Because he has to start off somewhere. To me personally, you don't start off hopeful without realizing what you need to find to be hopeful. Mm-hmm. You kind of like have to grow to that. It's an origin story. Mm-hmm. So for me, Man of Steel is a great start.
Right. I can see
so he had to kill someone to become hopeful. Sorry, we won't go there. Sorry.
Well, no, he had to kill someone to be like, I'll never do this again because you don't know what you're not willing to do until you might have to be forced into doing something. Like, he's never had that. I will say it was lazy writing, but very lazy writing. They could have figured out another way for him to figure that out, but I would say that it's lazy writing. I eventually have gotten to the point where I've been like, I see why they did it. If they would have had a Man of Steel 2, I'm sure he would have never got into that space ever again. But they dropped the ball on that. But with this new Superman, I hope that he is the light because when they
And a
because
Boy
when Man of
Scout.
Steel came out,
I want a Boy
he
Scout.
was Henry Cavill's Superman was so his whole life just seemed sad. Like
Well, the Superman they have for Superman and Lois, that scene in the beginning of the show, I watched this. I like went and sought it out. It is so Superman from the 1930s, where he's like, "Hey, yeah, my mom made this for me." It's so. Oh, it just melted my heart. I loved it. Okay, so we've got a little bit more news. Let's move on to this. We do have Chadwick Boseman getting a posthumous Hollywood Walk of Fame star that'll be happening in 2024.
Oh, that's cool.
So he got elected for that, which is awesome. Also in writers' strike news, Jennifer Lawrence is one of the people that has actually publicly stated that she's ready to strike. That includes her, Meryl Streep, and other A-listers. She even had a huge movie that just happened, so that did pretty darn well. It did well for a comedy. It did well. So.
But it's a weird comedy because she's a grown woman with a child. But anyway, we bypass with the.
In sad news, we had two, one icon and one well-known famous actor passed this last week. Well, one was 6 months ago. I mean, they found the body of Julian Sands, and that was kind of hard for me because I remember him a lot from when I was, in the 80s and 90s growing up.
What did you just say?
Julian Sands, the British actor, Julian Sands.
No.
Did you ever see Warlock or, let's see, Arachnophobia? Did you ever see Arachnophobia? Let's see. How about A Room with a View? No, none of those. Just look him up. Okay. He passed away.
Googling immediately.
Got trapped in the mountains and died in the mountains in January. We also lost the great Alan Arkin, who died at 89. Sad news, but we do lose people. That's kind of the way it goes.
Yeah, we should have opened with this, maybe.
Start with no, but we're gonna move into fun here in a moment. But I'm going in the order that they're listed for me. I apologize.
No, you're right.
Yeah, I guess I should have scrolled down and started.
Get into number one, which will clear the slate, so it's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the news.
I forgot he played Jor-El in Smallville. That's wild. Okay.
Who?
Julian Sands.
Did he really on Smallville?
Yeah, he was the OG Jor-El in Smallville. I forgot about that.
That's even cooler.
It was only like 2 episodes though, so you wouldn't really remember too much.
I also never watched Smallville, so I wouldn't remember. So there's that. Yep, I knew that was gonna happen.
Whoa.
How about
Whoa.
Sorry. Yeah. Yes, because my gosh, yes, you deserve that because Smallville is a masterpiece to me. I know,
Smallville. And it's the one iteration of Supergirl that I've never seen, and she's one of my favorite characters.
Live action superhero shows that I was like, first of all, you did that. Like,
come on.
Like for real. Like, I mean, I was low key almost like a grown woman. I think I was in college when I stopped watching it, but like at the beginning, I was like, this show is everything. It's giving me teenage kids, teenage superhero. I need every second of this. Please watch it. Shut the show down. Let's just watch Smallville.
No, for real.
Ray's just like, I'm done. We're watching Smallville episode 1. I have seen episode 1. I've seen episode 1. But I've seen episode 1 of Supernatural as well. I've seen episode 1 of a lot of shows, but if I can't get past episode 1,
you don't continue.
Right.
You don't continue.
I have not.
But you shouldn't do that. Pilots are pilots for a reason.
For sure.
That's what I'm saying. You should never pilots are pilots for a reason.
Show that I've seen has a shaky first episode. If the third episode is still shaky, then you might have something there. But the first episode is often like hardcore, a little bit cringe. It's like super hard introduction. It's like we were just talking about Man of Steel. Like Man of Steel didn't work for a lot of people, but if it had been given the trilogy it was supposed to get, then I think there could have been a thing where you go back to the beginning and you respect that movie more for the trajectory.
No, that makes sense.
Smallville, I mean, a pilot episode is a pilot episode.
Yeah.
You're saying I need to give it a couple more episodes, at least give it a season.
I think you need to give it. I would say at least give it a season. Yeah. I would say at least give it a season.
I think that's fair for most TV shows. It literally, I walked away after chapter 1 instead of finishing the book and then going, I'll watch the series or whatever.
For example, since you just watched the original series, did you watch the Cage episode?
Yes, 100%.
That pilot did not get Star Trek picked up.
Right. It was the sequel. It was the next episode that got them picked up.
The Menagerie, where they reshot a lot of the episode and made it a 2-parter, which they combined into one episode, is what actually got.
But without the Cage, we have no Strange New World.
Star Trek couldn't make it without a pilot with the pilot episode.
Right. No, you're right.
You really can't base it on that.
Actually, I'll give you a couple other shows. No, you're totally right. Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Because come on.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer was completely reshot with a new girl to play Willow.
Yep.
And then even Big Bang Theory was reshot with Kaylee Cuoco when it was originally a different girl, and they didn't have chemistry, so they completely retooled the whole show.
Same thing with Charmed. I would say the same thing with Charmed. There is a pilot episode of Charmed where there is a different Phoebe. Alyssa Milano was not in the original pilot. And when I tell you, I watched that pilot, and that unaired pilot, and I was like, Lord have mercy. I'm happy they brought in Alyssa Milano because
some of those choices.
The younger sister was like 6 feet tall. Like she was 6 feet tall. I was like, and I get it, younger sisters can be taller, but I was like, she was 6 feet tall. I was like, no.
So we are here to talk about Brendan Fraser. This is, of course, the second episode that we've had that completely dedicated to this actor. I would argue he might be the Real Study panel's like kind of overall favorite actor if we were to like pool what we think. So far, he's the one we're going to a lot. So we're going to be discussing, of course, the Mummy movies. This one, of course, is The Mummy, 1999, released in that year that is, epic 90s movies. This is a retelling of the 1930s classic, The Mummy, but with kind of a different approach. Instead of it being about the mummy's perspective, it's literally from an American's perspective. Go figure.
I like to call this the modern version of Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it is so Indiana Jones. It's not even funny.
It's definitely that genre. Like Indiana Jones is a genre.
Yeah.
Especially by the second one.
Oh no, he even has a leather jacket and the fedora in the second one. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So
and the kid,
and the kid,
the kid comes in. I was like,
so this movie,
I just saw the fifth Indiana Jones.
Oh, nice.
So watching that one, I was like, the Mummy,
right, right.
Okay, y'all. I see what y'all doing.
So this is Brendan Fraser's first like major action role. Like this is him stepping away from his Encino Man or
George of the Jungle.
George of the Jungle, even where I guess that's adventure. There's some action, but not like this kind of like
not like
stylized action.
He's shooting guns and riding horses and stuff.
Right.
He's literally swashbuckling in this in the way.
Desert swashbuckling. I like
Ain't
that.
No water really. It's just a lot of sand buckling, I guess I'll call it.
So who saw this when it was released? Because I saw this in the theater when it was released.
I think I did. I'm pretty sure I did.
I honestly couldn't tell you. I've seen this so many times. I don't have any idea when the first time I ever saw it was. Like.
Then let's start with you, Ray. On that note, we'll just say, Ray, what did you think of The Mummy the first time, if you can remember, or what do you think now?
So it's one of my favorite movies. It's like, so there's like a handful, I would say like 10 different movies that are basically perfect. I could watch them. I never find anything wrong with them. I love them every single time I watch them. And this absolutely qualifies on that list. It just hits every time, every single time. When they show up to the jail and she's kind of like every time they're standing at the dock and he comes around that corner looking good, I'm swept away. I'm swept off my feet every time.
Yes.
I'm never not swept off my feet. I'm like, you're right, you do look good.
Every man, woman, and child. Yes. Yes.
I'm swept away. Like, I love the way he pays attention to her. Like, they made a specific point to show him listening to her, just engaging and hearing what she's saying, not to respond. Where you may notice a lot of the other men, one, are ignoring her, talking down to women, don't know things, or talking over her. But even Jonathan, he listens to her. He's like the perfect himbo. Okay, because he's not stupid, but he's at the top of the list. He's like, yes, that's the character. That's the benchmark. We need to shoot for that every time. I love it.
All right. Tyler, tell me what you think about The Mummy, 1999.
I will say off the bat, when it opened though, that CGI, I was like, I was like, I had to check.
Hurts.
I was like, oh no, I threw away my PlayStation 1. It's not here. What is this? It's like the carbon copies, like everybody looks the same. They have like 3 human blueprints. But anyway,
animation.
That was fine. The movie used to scare me as a kid. Like I just remember like the whole sand face, the scarabs, that messed me up as a kid. Like I hated that
every time.
Right, I absolutely hated it. Like, oh, and then they have it at the Universal ride too, where they make little bugs crawl and everything. But anyway,
oh no,
yeah,
oh, no.
it's just like air, but like that still freaked me out.
No, thank you. I don't need the air. Keep that to yourself.
No. But it was so much like Indiana Jones. Like I couldn't help it. I also enjoyed just any like I love how slapsticky it was. Like I wish. I don't know. I wish movies did that more nowadays. Like, there's that whole scene where what was her character? What was her name? So sorry,
Evelyn.
Yeah,
Evelyn. Yeah.
It's like right at the beginning, her intro. She's in her dad's library or whatever.
Oh, yeah, the ladder.
On the ladder.
Absolutely.
It's such an odd like. It was like weird to have it in this kind of movie, but then it works somehow. Like I loved it. Yes. I don't know why.
I like that she's clumsy and goofy. I like that she's like. She's mentally put together, physically not so much.
No, she's klutzy as all get out.
No,
without a doubt.
Also, I think they did the airplane guy dirty though.
Dirty.
Oh, the Winston Churchill like knockoff.
Yeah. Every time he dies, I'm pissed off. Like I've watched this movie for 20 years now, and I'm still angry.
But he wanted to go out like that. That was literally his goal. He says, "Are we ready? Can we do this?" Like he wanted it.
That man had he had the trilogy arc. Like he was about to come in 2 more times. You know what I'm saying? Like he was that character.
Correct. He should have come back as a ghost, maybe. You know, I don't know.
He was, or he could have made it until the second one, maybe died in the second one, maybe like
Right. He could have been the guy that was leading the other. No, I don't know. Never mind. I'll stop.
Yeah. I get what they're saying.
They could have though, like because he went. Spoilers, I guess, but it's been out since like '99. But anyway, like he goes in the sand, right? They could have done a whole thing where he's like, and then I woke up and I was in a tomb, and then he had like a whole adventure or something. Right there, that's 3 more movies. You could have him as.
You could do a whole Fast and the Furious Mummy franchise. You're not wrong. Lala, when did you see this first, and what did you think this time
around? I saw it in '99. I couldn't tell you when in '99 I saw it, but I saw it in '99. I know I did. Because I was obsessed with Brendan Fraser. I've been obsessed since he popped on the screen. I can't tell you.
Okay, look, I don't want to take. My friend in high school. Like we're 100. I'm 100 years old. Okay, it's like the beginning copy and paste web pages. Like my friend had this like fan web page. Like she bought this URL, and it was basically just like it was just like a poster of brand. It was amazing. Continue.
Yes. I've probably seen that. I've probably seen it. The same because I was obsessed.
It was just pictures.
I was obsessed. So because I watched Encino Man, I watched George of the Jungle, like so.
Bedazzled.
Absolutely.
But we're not. He was fine, but that story was. But he was great.
The story is.
But I'll say for the Mummy, story does have issues. But I'll say for the Mummy, I love this film. I love this film so much that I didn't need to watch it. That's how much I love this film. I did not watch the first 2 films.
I checked out while I watched this because I've seen it so many times. I'm with you there.
It was like there's no point of me even pushing play because I'm going to do other things while I don't watch this movie.
I needed to hear it
because I don't need to. It's here. I can read it on Wikipedia and be like, I remember that scene. I don't even need to watch it. I need to watch that third one though. But what I would say for this first one, everything about this film to me is just iconic. Okay. Just the beginning scenes with it just being just action packed. You get a sense of everybody's character the moment you see them. You get informed about O'Connell.
I love
the
Oded's
moment you
narration.
See him. Yes. Oded. Yes. Don't get me started on Oded because he's
every day.
I'm thirsty for that man. I love him. But anyway,
even with the tattoos.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, he could keep those for life. Okay.
It shows dedication.
Yeah.
No, you feel me? For life. We will get them retouched and everything we need to. They start to fade. I love him.
I'll hold your hand while you get them retouched. Anyway.
Come on. you're informed by everybody's character the moment you see him. You're informed by Benny when he runs. You're like, oh, that's a forever coward. Like the moment you see Evelyn, you not only realize that she's beautiful because come on, Rachel Weisz, like she's beautiful, but also she's intelligent and she's a little doe-eyed and naive a little bit on some things, but you could tell that she's like a scholar above anything else. Like she is a scholar. And then Jonathan, you get to know Jonathan, which I'm telling you, from the first, second, and third, Jonathan, his character is
no arc.
I love him. Okay, I just love Jonathan.
No
but
arc.
That's what I love about.
Like,
but that's what I love about his character. Everybody ain't got an arc.
Some people just are.
Right.
Yes.
You feel me? So
It's
he
true.
supports his family and he makes sure he secures the bag. And he's been like that first, second, and third film. I love him to death. Okay, he protects he always there for his family if his family needs him, but he gonna make sure he comes out with the bag. And I have no problems with that.
Right.
I love this film. I just think it's great. Her being on the like Tyler said, her being on the ladder, to me that's an iconic scene. Him kissing her, telling her, get me out of here. That's an iconic scene. The moment where she's waiting for him to come out the thing and he comes out all cleaned up, iconic scene. Like them going off into the sunset, iconic scene. I mean, everything's iconic in this film.
Actually, in this series, if you don't head towards the sunset, you haven't done it. So you'll know if the movie's over while you're heading towards the sunset.
Everything about this film is great, and then not only is it like dramatic, but it's also funny. It also has some like scary moments. I never got scared. I'm gonna tell you this. I'm being totally honest. I was never scared of this film, but I always loved it. Like it
has a creep factor, even if it didn't get you right. It's still
it does. It does have like a creepy factor. It's like the mummies and like the spells and like the scene where Imhotep comes in and he's like shrouded as like the prince.
That's all he ever says.
Like he comes in with the hood and like the guy is like, oh, you're the prince. Like I'm just like, my God, sir, I would never leave. Nobody would leave me alone. Nobody could leave me alone if I lost my eyes and my tongue. Like nobody could leave me alone.
Right.
Where's my guards?
Right.
You lock me in the room. No.
This mummy's after me.
What
are you guys
Nobody
doing?
can leave me alone. You feel me? No, you can't leave me alone. But just that image of like the shadow being desiccated is like an amazing image.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Like you show the death without showing the death, and I love that. So that's
clever.
The shadow on the wall.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Peak. I'm like,
that's
yes.
Awesome. Because we don't need to see it, but we need to see it at the same time. Like I love that.
That's like an old school technique too.
More than I think maybe they needed to in this movie. There were moments of CGI that I still think work, and then there are moments of CGI that I think just failed even after 5 years. Have any of you ever seen the original Mummy?
No, sir.
Years ago.
Not even a little bit, no.
It's been so I was probably a child when I saw it.
I just watched all the Universal movie monsters last year, so they're all fresh in my mind. And that is the Mummy is the most boring, most pointless, most useless, probably most racist of all the Universal movie monsters movies. And this takes the story and actually makes it good. And I actually don't believe this story could be any better than this. I think this is the best you're going to get from the Mummy experience. This is why the Tom Cruise one tanked. It's not because Tom Cruise was in it, because people say that, but then I'm like, wait a minute, his movies make a lot of money, so that's not it.
He was fine.
Right. Yeah. But it's what they tried to do with it and where they went. And if you compare all the Mummy movies, especially all the sequels, this one kind of stands as like a shining light amongst Mummy movies. What I thought was fun is, they're trying to tie a love story to it instead of he being evil monster. He's an evil monster for love, which is very 90s of us to do. But I didn't feel it. I still just like, no, you helped her cheat. Then you killed, him, helped kill the I don't know. The Pharaoh's not good either.
Listen,
I think nobody's good in this situation. And then
she wasn't. That's
and then we find out she's actually not in love in the long term. But that's still retconning technically. That's technically retcon.
In love.
I don't think she was.
I have deep emotions about this.
So in this movie, I would say you think Oxanamun is absolutely in love with him, and it's just circumstance they lose. Like he fails to save her because of our character, because of O'Connell and all of that. So I just never was like, oh, how romantic. Let me go through 3,000 years of death to get to you, and I'm going to be an evil being. Like to me, it'd be better if he was more like Hellraiser. If he came back and he was like, I'm meant to be evil, but I'm going to be good.
I mean, he was never a good person in the first place. Like that, I think
my
is the
point.
part.
They're trying to make it like love story for a bad guy,
evil.
and I don't care.
Right.
Yeah.
First of all, everyone deserves love. Even
That's
people,
fair. That's fair. Okay. Ray's got a point. Okay.
I'm just saying, just because he's not a good person doesn't mean he doesn't deserve love. I don't want to skip to the second movie, okay? But the trajectory of the fact that he was willing to let her die, one, because he had enough faith in their customs that he could bring her back to life, and the fact that he came back from the dead twice for her, the love story is landing. I don't
from his perspective
here. I'm just trying to figure out
from his perspective.
Yeah,
yes.
I think like exactly, but that's the point though. Is the love story was never from Anaxinamun's perspective. It was always from his perspective. How far was he willing to go for her?
He was willing to go,
and coming back from the dead twice.
Yeah,
absolutely,
it's pretty willing to
pretty far. I gotta give you that.
I mean, for me, I just felt like the love story that mattered for us was the Evelyn and O'Connell. Like,
yes,
that was the forefront of the love story, and I honestly feel like that love story with Imhotep and Anaxinamun was pretty much to show the difference between what this love is and what this love isn't. And so, like, to me, on that aspect, that movie accomplished that very well because, bro was willing to die for Evelyn. Like he was willing to, like he just met sis. Like I get it. Like, and I will say this, I love the fact that like I didn't mind them getting together. There's a lot of films where people, they try to put people together. You see it the moment they blink at each other. You're like,
right.
So they gonna,
and there's no chemistry.
There's no chemistry. And to me, this was a nice slow burn into something that I wanted to happen. When they were on the camel together at the end, I was like, this is how I wanted this to go. And there's not a lot of films, even now in like 2023, that I'm like, yes, that relationship worked out the way I wanted to. Most of the time, I don't want nobody to be together. I don't want nobody to be together.
Right.
Like, just do the adventure.
They don't do it well enough, for sure.
No. Right. So did you guys notice that Eric Avari is in this movie? He was also in Encino Man with Brendan Fraser. He was the Weezin the Juice guy.
Weezin the Juice.
So the curator of the museum in the beginning of the movie is the same guy that runs the 7-Eleven in Encino Man. And he's like, no, Weezin the Juice.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh, that had to be fun for them to see each other on set again. And be like, oh, Brendan, you made it a little further now. You're no longer just a kid.
And it's crazy because he's also in one of the Librarian films. And he just can't get away from this, like,
where's
Indiana
Brian?
Jonesy.
Sorry. Whenever we bring up the Librarian, Brian has to be here.
That's like a weird thing, just like not like a huge segue, but that's one of my favorite things is when actors are in the same types of movies. I love it. Like,
people don't talk about that. People talk about getting typecast as like, I'm always playing the love interest. I'm always like the best friend. But nobody like looks at a person's body at work and be like, you stay in the desert. Like, let's talk about it.
Or
why you stay in the desert?
Carl from Family Matters always plays a cop in everything he ever did.
In everything. Yeah.
Like a law of nature. I don't know what
it's
that
just like he can't do nothing else but be a cop. Like honestly, it's the same thing for Andre Barrar. Like he always plays like some type of official, some type of cop, some type of. He always has a gun. He always has a gun. He's always like. Right. But he said he was like, I'm very tired of that. But then when he got Brooklyn Nine-Nine, he was like, this was a different. Nobody lets him do comedy, so he was like, oh, I could be a cop for comedy.
So can we talk about the weirdness that is the CGI in these films? Because we want to talk about this.
Yeah,
I think the CGI in this one is better, weirdly, than in the sequels. Maybe not so much the third one, because it gets a little better just because we're in like Iron Man era at that point, but it's still pretty bad. Yeah. There are definitely problems. But one of the shots that I still think works really, really well, and I'm putting this on screen for the viewers, is the sandstorm and the face.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Right? It still works really, really, really well in every shot. But I think what is really weird about it is that we have our guy, Imhotep, who's basically doing all these weird motions. And the actor had to do some pretty weird shots in order to make it look like he was controlling all of this. And I'm just I love his commitment.
I love that you picked the best picture ever.
It's just such
You
a strange
picked the
photo.
best still.
So,
I love it so much.
but ultimately, the CG in this movie, you know, you see where this is 99. You can see where Rachel Weisz in this shot is not even looking at Emotep. She's looking way over there, and you can't tell what she's looking at. And that's the nature of the beast. That's how it's gone over the years.
Yeah.
But then you get shots like this where he's going into like the soul pool, and it looks very like Lawnmower Man-esque, like really bad liquid CGI. So it's like a mixed
it's like
bag.
Terminator. It's
a bit like Terminator. That's not untrue.
First of all, the T1000 was practical. I will no, I mean like it was actual practical explosions in his uniform. So even though they did do some CGI, but the actual like pop
effects,
when they had the explosions
was a physical
was
a physical prop. Yeah.
I mean, I will say this movie came out in 1999. I really don't expect a lot of these effects to hold up to like 2023 standards.
Oh yeah,
because if you look at like Super Mario Bros. And that technology, and you compare them to any, you feel me? Like, and if you compare that to like.
I love the Super Mario Brothers.
I loved it too. I loved it. I love it.
With a little Koopa Troopa heads, like little tiny heads.
But if you compare that technology to like a 1999 technology, you're always going to be like, that was trash. But I feel like for it being 1999 and for what they did, I will just leave that. I will never pick apart
like
CGI
when we're thinking about like a practical adhesive of like costuming. Like, think about the well, I guess for the people who have seen Stranger Things, have any of you seen Stranger Things?
I haven't. No.
Okay, so Sniddy, you'll understand this. So I'm not going to spoil it, but in season 4, number 1's out his costume. Like if they would have had that ability, then Imhotep would have been practical.
I think so too.
I think that's the difference that there wasn't the technology. So what they did makes sense. Like I almost love, like I appreciate like movies when they become like this. I think verges on like time capsule at this point. Like it's great as a trilogy because you not only get to see where technology was in bringing the story to life, but also the writing and how it reflects in the time that it was written. Like it's like how Evelyn was treated, like I was saying, by both. I think that it shows the progressiveness of seeing a woman as an equal, but also how misogynistic all of the other characters are. You know what I mean?
She's the only female, barring a Noxon. She's the only female in a sea. Like a sea of men, so there's already going to be like
100%
until we get to 3, of course.
We're better than you,
right?
You know what I mean? Exactly. There's always going to be that sea, but she has allies in the sense of like her brother and Okano to just be like, listen to her when she speaks, because we wouldn't have made it this far without what she's saying and what she's doing, even though she is the catalyst for my man coming back. But that's a different story, because if she didn't read from the book, she wasn't so inquisitive, the world wouldn't have almost ended. These people wouldn't have died. But you still need to respect her, and just because she don't shoot a gun don't mean that she shouldn't be respected.
Absolutely.
If we're gonna talk about Indiana Jones, that was just a beautiful reference to The Last Crusade, essentially, where he's talking about the pen and the sword. You know, very anyway. So, we do have to
love the last one. I'm just saying that.
I'm excited for it, but I still have to wait.
I think you're gonna love it. I know. I just think you're gonna love it, though.
I hope so. If it's even as good as any of the original 3, I'll be happy.
I think you're gonna love it. Go ahead. I feel like it was a love letter to anybody that loved Indiana Jones growing up.
Nice.
Go ahead.
I like that. And anybody who has a problem with Karen Allen being in the movie can go suck an egg. I don't.
Honestly, she's beautiful.
Karen Allen.
Yeah.
She's beautiful.
What?
Who is Karen Allen?
Oh,
she plays Marion.
Yeah, Marion.
She plays the love interest
in the original.
She's the Evelyn. She's the
what?
Evelyn. She's the Spice.
Well, because she's not okay. It's because she doesn't fit the form of a perfect woman. She's an older woman who's not exactly thin and exactly perfect in all the ways that people expect in our society. So people were mad.
She's gorgeous.
Did people not think she was beautiful? Because I'm confused. I feel like
That's what people are saying. They're like,
missing,
what's wrong
because
with Karen Allen?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. People suck, is what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Okay, because
But because it doesn't matter that Harrison Ford is a
so-
1.5 million years old and can barely walk and had a stunt double
Correct.
do basically everything he needed
And
to do in the movie. Doesn't
they
matter.
literally, I'm gonna just say this. They literally wanted us to believe that at the age that he is in this film, that this man was running around town the way he was.
Yeah, no, the guy that can barely land airplanes is going to go ahead and go nuts, as Indiana Jones.
stop
No offense, Harrison.
the press.
You're
But
in
I
your
will
age.
say their de-aging was quite masterful.
Oh, I saw.
for
Yeah,
this
that
film, I
looks
will say.
gorgeous.
Well, it wasn't de-aging.
Their
it was
de-aging was quite
like a-
masterful.
It wasn't de-aging. That's that he said that Lucasfilms has a catalog of his face from every movie he's ever done for George, and they used actual spliced images of his
frame
real
by
face.
frame in order to
I'm
get
like,
it.
Well, that makes
Frame by
sense
frame.
because there were some moments where it wasn't. So I will say that there are moments.
But at
there
least
are
it wasn't a
moments where you're
digital
like,
overlay.
"Oh
It was literally his
my
face laid
gosh."
over his face. That's what's cool. Like, it was
Yeah.
something new.
Oh.
right,
Right.
exactly.
Did you see the JPEG slip every once in a while? Just like
Honestly, you do.
I don't doubt it.
But also, there are times where it's not just his face. There are times where there is a body, and they put that that young Harrison Ford on somebody else's body, and it still worked because it had to work for what they were doing in the scenes. But then there are times where I was like, "That's his body." Okay, the face don't match the body.
So you could tell when it was the
Yeah.
other actor rather than Harrison.
You could tell when it's other, especially depending on what's happening. But it doesn't take you out of it. I will say that it doesn't take you out of it. But there are a couple of scenes
Even
where I was like,
this
"Whoa."
didn't take me out of it. I'm
Didn't catch
able to
that
watch
in
Hemotep's face, melting, and I'm like, whatever, it's fine.
No, but
Oh,
this is like number 5 of a film where you know that this man is 1,000 years old, and you're like, I'm supposed to.
that's also
He was
These
old
things-
in
that's different.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. That's what drives me nuts. He was old in that. Like, it was the 50s.
I didn't watch
so
that.
You should.
I did.
You
I
should.
didn't watch that. I have it.
If you like
have it.
just
I
to
just
let your
haven't
brain
watched
go,
it.
if you can handle
Yeah,
Fast
I
and
mean,
the
I don't
Furious,
think it's as
just let
bad
it
as
go and
everyone
watch it.
says.
Right.
Yes.
I agree with
My
you
whole
there.
thing was this: I watched the first 3, and that was troubling for me. So I gave myself a
Kate was
break.
good, so
Kate
I
was
gave myself
great.
a break with the 4th one, and then
Shia was
then a friend of mine was like, I want to see the 5th Indiana Jones. I was like, let's go see it then.
Well,
If that's what
luckily you don't
wanna go
have
see,
to, right?
Let's go see it.
You don't
Yeah,
have to see 4 to see 5 because
It's the
they're all
exact
individual
You
stories.
don't.
Like,
You
they're
don't.
all.
You don't at all.
Yeah.
You don't at all.
Yeah, like it's the exact nostalgia movie that they were trying to make, and that I think is what people didn't like.
It
But
was.
for an individual movie in a trilogy, it's like it's the
I
same
feel
reason
like-
people hate T3 when it's
Yeah.
like it's watchable. Like
I think-
It is.
I think part of the problem
It
with 4 on Indiana Jones, and we're getting off track, but it's okay. I think part of the problem is that people also were like, well, where's the spiritual element? And I'm like, what's wrong with aliens? Like, throw some aliens in there. There's nothing wrong with that to mix it up. You can.
It's fine.
There's nothing wrong with it. And they're
Aliens
like, but
are
and I'm
absolutely a spiritual component to a lot of
like,
a lot of
to a lot of
like,
religions.
I mean, like I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like aliens can, yeah.
Right.
So like, what
Yeah.
are we talking about?
But
This
also,
ain't our
this,
culture.
this man
Okay?
was stopping Nazis and stuff. Like, we can't have no alien. Like,
Well, in this one, it was the Russians that were the bad guys, and it made sense because it's the 50s. So, like, we moved from Nazis to Russians, but whatever, we do that. We're America.
Not really. In the 5th one, we kind of go back in time. I'm just saying.
But that's
So it's
okay.
fine.
You got to have a little of both. I'm okay with it. Let's go ahead and rate The Mummy because we do have 2 other movies to tear apart. I mean, to review.
Yeah.
And,
Sir.
my
Sir.
apologies.
That was not a Freudian slip at all. That
No, that was a bit intentional. You're not wrong. So why don't we go in the same order? Ray, what did you rate The Mummy? I have a feeling I know this number, but I want to hear
It's
you.
a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
It will always be a 10 out of 10. Always.
Turns it up to
now
11.
do I give it?
No, give it.
Do
Give it
your
your
thing.
honest.
Do your thing, babe.
man.
Tyler,
Yeah.
what do you give The Mummy? And
I'll give
so
it-
actually, what did you rate it then? Was it a 10, Ray, when you were young? It stayed a 10?
Always a 10.
Okay. Tyler, go
Forever.
ahead and do both because this is one of those movies where you should do both because we all saw it young.
I'm not just saying it just to say it, but I'm gonna give it 10 scarabs because
Okay.
I think
Period.
I also watched it a bunch. As much as I was like, as much as I was like scared of the movie, I know I
Scarabs.
watched it a bunch as a kid, like especially when Blockbuster was still around. Like that was the book.
Yes.
We rented
Did it
that
scare
like,
up
for
you?
multiple weeks. Like
I had to.
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
Yes.
We've been missing you and the
come on,
puns.
do we have a
so-
button for that?
We do.
Yes.
No, for sure. We tried our best. If you ever rewatch some old ones, after you kind of like stopped for a little bit, you will see we tried to keep your spirit alive with the puns.
Absolutely.
They were horrible.
Well,
we did our
I hope
best.
you guys know that like I have them locked and loaded. I'm just waiting for like the perfect moment to release some of the puns after this.
I loaded a joke sting just for you, Tyler. I built it and loaded it just for you.
So is it kind of like the puns return? Because the mummy.
It doesn't.
So I just kind of keep it in this
That
button.
was part of the like me explaining it was part of the joke.
Bad puns we have to explain.
Sorry.
That's the new show.
Sorry.
They're so tortured. We have to lay them out for you.
But okay, so Ty, you say a 10. What is your whatever age was when you saw it at the beginning? Like the first time you saw the mummy? What
I was like 5 when I saw it. So
wow.
I would have gave it. Oh, I think I still give it a 10.
Okay. Come on, 5.
Do you give it what 10 cookies? What 10 like stars? You're 5. So
he
what?
said scarabs.
10 scarabs.
Oh, you know what? I'll give it 10 books. I guess
10 books.
Okay, period.
Books.
You were reading books.
You playing
It's good.
spades?
Reading books at 5 is good.
Shut
I'm reading books.
Okay, Lau, how about you? What do you rate
Yeah.
The Mummy, 1999?
Okay, so 13-year-old me was like 10 because Brendan Fraser fine.
Period.
And now 36-year-old me will be like 10 because Brendan Fraser fine. Actually, every man in this film is kind of fine though. If you really like look at
Even
them,
Benny?
Especially like the leads. Benny is handsome his own little sneaky way, but
Right.
I'm not, Imhotep fine too. Listen, I would have.
You're not wrong. There's something about him. There's an alluring about him, right?
I'd have been like, "Come resurrect me too, sir." Like
It knocks into me, right?
Yeah,
That's
I give
what,
it a good.
That's where you would.
You feel me? That's hilarious. So that was a good one though. I'm proud of you for that one.
Wow.
Yeah, because that's gross, but it's hilarious at the same time. But yeah. Also, you know what? On Ray's point, I just want to throw this on Ray's point. What would have made the Nux and the Moon like Imhotep thing a little bit better is if we would have seen like a bit of a relationship between them. Because like all we saw was like lust. Like all we saw was just like I want you because what it seemed like in the beginning was like I want you because I can't touch you. Like you're the only thing in this place I can't touch. And so I think if it would have been right, and I feel like if it would have been a little bit more love, they would have shown a little bit more connection. Because kissing somebody don't mean you love them at all. So if they would have showed a little bit more of that, I think once we got to the present day of their time, like the present day, and then him coming back, I think that would have hit better. But that just popped up in my brain. But go ahead, Snitty.
All right. No, yeah. So for me, as much as I'm gonna be like not the one person at this table to
like
actually
8.5.
It's definitely in the 8 range. I'm gonna give it an 8. I probably thought the same thing then. I've always loved Kevin J. O'Connor, Benny. I've always loved that he can play a variety of characters. He can play a lead even. He even did a lead as Lord of Illusions. Which most people don't know that movie, but Clive Barker, very creepy. But he's a great character actor. He can play this character, this Hungarian guy, who just seems to know every religion and every language. And I just love that about him. He's smart and cowardice at the same time. Like that's a unique pairing for characters. You don't normally get cowardice and smart, but he knew how to manipulate people and get what he needed. And I really liked that character. He actually elevates the movie. The movie otherwise I feel like is just kind of an Indiana Jones kind of just play off, which is fine. And except he used 2 guns and no whip, so I like that, I guess. Anyway, 8. It's an 8. And you guys all hate me, but that's fine. We're gonna move on to the next movie. It's okay.
I feel
I don't hate you're not good at rating movies. It's fine.
Sure, that's fine. That might be what you want to do for life, but you're not. With this film, you kind of. Screw the gooch. But we don't hate you at all. We
it's just that you're wrong, Smitty. It's fine. You're wrong, but
it's just that you're wrong,
Right.
and we have changed our opinion on you, heavily. So
yeah, we get it. You got some sand in your pants. You know what I'm saying?
Sand in your pants. I love it. Oh, that's bad. All right, so we're gonna move on to The Mummy Returns. This is, of course, a sequel. This takes place 10 years later, even though it was only shot 2 years later, because we need to have a kid in this one for some reason. And now the Scorpion King is the big
let's
bad
open
guy.
up the franchise.
Right? They're gonna bring in The Rock,
Yeah.
who had already been doing a bunch of TV shows, as a bit character here or there. Bring him in, make him the Scorpion King. He's great as a Scorpion King before they CGI him. Like he looks good, it fits.
Yeah.
And then
The hair is ugly, but it doesn't look too fake.
Right. So we get the same mummy story, but crammed into the idea that the mummy is now being manipulated so that the Scorpion King and him can fight, and then one of them can gain all the power, and it's really for some other dude.
Right.
And
He has to kill
Anyway.
Scorpion King.
as
To
you can
gain
tell,
all
it's a
the
little
power and
convoluted.
control everything on Earth. I mean, okay, and I'm trying to figure out where you're saying convoluted is a bad thing. Like,
Ray, why don't you go ahead? What do you think of the Mummy Returns, and maybe even go into the Scorpion King there?
I think that they took it appropriately to the next level. Yes, his son is very irritating, but also they kind of were like these two very special people. He's got a specific set of skills. Okay, before that was a thing, his skills were very specific. Okay, and so were Evelyn's, and they would have a very precocious child who loved the things that they loved and would be talented enough to leave the breadcrumbs he leaves throughout the movie. Like, I loved all of that part. I hated. I'm not good with scarabs. I still close my eyes. I've seen it too many times, and I still close my eyes at the scarabs. I kind of love the intention he has at saving her soul, Anaxinamoon. That like she was bringing him back so he could save her soul. I will keep it short and sweet, but one of the most heartbreaking things I have ever seen in any movie is because he could have chosen to survive when he was kind of being pulled down by the corpses at the end. But seeing her choose not to save him when Evelyn was when she was willing to risk herself to save Rick, that the tears in his eyes, I was like, first of all, emote, sir, give all of the emotion. I'm in the story. I'm paying for you, raggedy hoe, that you came back to life for, and she can't even ride for you.
Yeah, I would die too. I would die too.
He's like, never mind.
Because honestly, despite the whole Scorpion King thing, I don't mean to step on your thing a little bit. But despite the whole like Scorpion King thing, they wanted to bring him back so that he could defeat the Scorpion King, so that they could like essentially control Anubis. But like, did y'all really? Exactly. So it's like, but did y'all really think Did y'all really think the Imhotep would be like, okay, we in this together? No. And then two, he honestly was like, okay, I'm back. Where my girl at? Like, let me get my girl. And then when she decided to be like, "Nay," that part always cracks me up though. When she's like, "Nay," and she just runs out the room. That part always cracks me up because I'm like,
now,
I just want them to play like true colors.
Now hold on a minute.
I would have died too. Why am I living? I was coming back for you. I'm here for you.
I was coming back.
Are we 100% certain that Anaxinamoon became 100% part of that girl? Because she was not her. She was the body of another person that she had to invade. Are we sure there wasn't some element of that original girl that was
when
like,
he performed the ceremony,
ran away?
When he performs the ceremony, and because when she was kissing him beforehand, but when you see her body transcend and the spirit, she is Anaxinamoon.
She is Anaxinamoon, just in this person's body. But she might, I will say this on Sniddy's point, she might have like, she must have those girls' memories and thoughts and things like that. She can probably see what this world looks like, what's going on in this world. So she was just like, I'm not about to risk this new life that I'm finally getting. Because if you think about it, in the first one, she came back for a split second and died.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure she still has those memories.
Right.
So this is her next opportunity. And she's like, "Nay,
not this time." Right. You can die this time.
I'm telling you, every time
she
says that, Tyler, every time she says "nay," I cry. Every time, it's hilarious.
She's like, no,
Because
no.
I never considered that.
No,
It just,
that
you know,
maybe
it's a
she
thought.
was in both of them together. The woman she
Mhm.
was inhabiting and Inoximuni were both operating in some type of self-preservation, and it
Because
didn't
it's
work.
still because it
But
might be a
that makes
Nuxinomon's
sense.
spirit. It might be her
Yes.
spirit. Because I can understand because two spirits can't occupy the same body. Because one has to die. That's Egyptian stuff too. Like one has to die. So obviously that new girl was willing to sacrifice her soul to bring a Nuxinomon back. But that's still that girl brain. Right, so she still has those imageries that she knows what this world is like, and on top of that too, she already died when she was still wrapped in mummy attire. Like the sis barely came back, and no, I ain't about to stay, bro. You lost again. I'm out. I'm trying to survive.
You're right.
No.
Tyler,
you're right.
What did you think of The Mummy Returns?
It returned. Thank you. That's my no.
I'm crying.
I'm done for the
came
day.
back
Thank you
for
very
another
much.
one.
Love it.
So as I said before, I had to kind of speed run these movies a little bit, so I'm going off of like basically memory. But
gotcha.
I just remember like I did watch a little bit of the beginning, the whole Scorpion King. I don't know why, like it kind of reminded me of this is so bad, Thor: Love and Thunder with the whole like mirage scene and the weird CGI. And
I can see that. Yeah.
I don't care for Dwayne.
Johnson,
I don't care for Dwayne that much. I thought I was watching Black Adam at some point.
No, it was Hercules. You're watching Hercules.
Listen, he can't stay out the desert either.
Right.
He stayed with some sand.
He's like, I got this golden skin. Put me in the sand.
Gotta match
for
it, right?
sure.
Totally.
He's like, now I'm going to bank on this now that it can make me money.
Yeah, I mean, Brendan Fraser's great. I think once I saw the kid, then I was like really drawing the parallels to Indiana Jones. I'm like, all right, like, where's Ke Huy Quan? Like, let's bring. I know people thought he was annoying, but like, not
I'll say he wasn't in the fifth one, so take that away if you think he was. I was disrespected.
People thought Short Round was irritating.
Yeah, wasn't that the whole thing with the second one?
Of the
what? I thought Short Round was endearing in their relationship. Still to this day, it kills me. So yeah, 100%. No, I don't know. I never thought Short Round was irritating. I thought everybody thought Kate Capshaw was
that was
irritating.
Like the problem. Yeah. Oh, that was the problem with like the second one. Well, the problem were like people were like, "Oh, the kid, this is annoying. I hate this movie."
No, it's the lady that's screaming Andy the entire film. That's the one that I would expect everybody to be annoyed with.
Listen, Andy would have died without Short Round, so you better be happy he was there. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, multiple times. Like there were like numerous times.
No, he would have died. Right. He would have been.
And
dead.
he would have. That means he would have never stopped the Nazis with Raiders of the Lost Ark. He would have never stopped the Nazis with the. And then he would have never stopped the Nazis with.
And not even like multiple times. If Short Round just wasn't there, he would have been dead.
Short Round is to Indiana Jones as R2-D2 is to Star Wars. I'm just putting that out there.
I accept that.
I accept that too.
Yeah. So, what do you think of the story on this one, Tyler? You've got, The Mummy, which is basically a remake, but a twist on the original story. Now we're doing a sequel where they're rehashing. What do you think?
Like everything is for game, I guess. Again, you caught me at a wonderful time where I didn't watch a whole lot of this movie. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good.
It's okay.
I'm about wrapped up now.
He said that's all I got. He said that's all I got.
You're good, Tyler. Don't worry. La, what did you think of the script on this one as compared?
Okay, so to me, sequels are always the first movie with new elements, right? So The Mummy Returns is a sequel, is the first one with new elements. I think they do a really good job at continuing the love between Rick and Evelyn. That love made a child that was annoying from time to time, but kids that are like 10 years old, I'm assuming he's 10. He has to be at least 10.
10 is about what they think they're making it.
Right. Yeah. So like kids that are 10 years old, especially with a very free reign mother that he has, and like a very militaristic father that he has, makes sense that he's like this little annoying little brat that we see throughout the film. But it also makes sense that he's as intelligent and resourceful as he is too, because look who his parents is. Mm-hmm. Also, look who his uncle is. And it seems like him and his uncle have a great relationship. And like let's call a spade a spade. If Jonathan needs to get out of something, he gets himself into trouble all the time, but he kind of gets him, he slides out of it as well. And I feel like their son has like all of those Alex has all of those qualities. I forgot that boy name because I don't care about him, but he has like all those qualities. I will say I enjoyed like just the exploration of this child's mind, that he's very much like his mother, very much like his father, elements of his uncle. I did like, I love that we see Ardith Bay a little bit more. I really wanted a spinoff with him and his people. But also I hate the fact that they dropped the ball a little bit, because we find out in the first one that like Rick is like descendants of something, like of a
and then we never get any. Yes.
And then the second one kind of picks that up a little bit, like, so essentially him and Evelyn's souls have been in each other's path since forever. But then they were like, that's interesting. That is so interesting, but we won't go anywhere with it.
And but they do with Evelyn. That's the thing. They go
right.
All
they
the
do
way
with Evelyn. But I like that, because you have to, because Rick, you can't, you can make him more book smart, but you can't make him more of a warrior. So like you needed to make her more of a warrior, and then the fact that she can now tap into her like her past life to bring in some of those traits. That's one of my favorite parts of the whole film is when I love when they go back in time during the Pharaoh time and she's like fighting Anux in the Moon. So it just seems like their battle was something that's like throughout the ages that seems to happen. Like their spirits must always fight, because they fought in the first one, they fought in the past, they fought in the first one, and they fought in this one. It
doesn't bother anyone that they made the British white woman Nefertiti.
Nope. Because
but oh well.
You feel me? Like at this point in the film, I was fine with it because you needed to do something. Because if I'm being honest, she's
also biracial though. Like that is the part from the first one, is that she
did they say that in the first one?
It's part of her
they
parents,
her
mom is
I missed that part. That's a little different.
So it was like they make that, because what did he say?
She's basically an ancestor, like a descendant. So when she was, and that's why.
Because when she was messing up stuff, the guy was all yelling at her, and it was like, just because your parents are, and he kind of said something about her parents being like.
I should have watched the first one again.
She explains it to Rick at the campfire.
Okay.
She does. So it's like, she's connected in that sense to me. They, I'm fine with it. They, gods of Egypt at this point, because like, all right,
that's fair. There are way worse.
But it's okay, because like in this, but for me as a person who likes Rachel Weisz, in that I like her enough, I was okay. She has an ethnic enough look to her that I was okay with them kind of like.
There were few other actresses that they would have considered for that, because they were definitely going to cast someone who was ethnic to play Anux in the Moon, but we know that it's Hollywood and they're going to cast a white woman. So at least she looks enough like she ambiguous enough that she could be biracial, right?
You're not wrong.
Like, have a little Egyptian.
Her hair color, her eyebrow color definitely helps add aspects of that.
A little Egyptian with her English. I have no problem with that. That's fine. I like this film. I like everything about this film except for that CGI at the end with the scorpion.
So let's.
We could have.
I'm gonna move over to that right now.
Go ahead, put the picture up. I know
really
you got
am. So there it is. There's there's Dwayne in the movie.
Johnson.
Here's another one, and this one is great because you can see, this is real. And then of course
it looks like it hasn't finished rendering. That's what it looks like. It's like it's still rendering. What it looks like.
This is stage 2 of 5, and we haven't gotten to the 3 other stages of CGI.
Dwayne the Schlock Johnson.
The Schlock.
Because part of me is like, if they remade this movie now, right? If they remade The Mummy and they decided to like, we're gonna start off with The Mummy 2 though. We're gonna do like a Scorpion King like joint. I want to know how they would have. Like how it would look now. He would look like, because honestly, if they would have just made him like, if they would have made him practical, but then added some CGI, I think that would have made it. But they were just like, We gonna make the whole thing
Well,
CGI, even though we don't have the capability.
Couldn't they have gone old school and been like, he's the Scorpion King, so he wears a scorpion outfit? Or
I was literally gonna say that. Did he have to be like a half scorpion thing?
Wouldn't it have been great to have this giant wrestler that you'd have has a body already?
Or maybe, instead of him dressing up like one, or maybe he had like elements of it. Maybe he had the skin on a skin.
Or maybe he just wore one. Or maybe he had tattoos of them. Or
maybe he controlled them.
Ooh.
Maybe he could just control scorpions because he's the king of them. Or maybe he can control all animals.
Or just give him make him human, but give him a scorpion tail. Just the tail.
But they were like he part man, part scorpion. Nope.
The scorpion.
I would say.
I think, or something. Yeah.
This sounds like a task for TikTok visual artists because they've just recently digitally remastered like almost an entire episode of Deep Space Nine.
Oh, really?
Which we've been begging Paramount to do for like 15 years, and it was like, honestly, we don't care. So if they can digitally remaster an episode, they could digitally remaster or create a new visual effect design for what the Scorpion King would look like now.
I will say this, and I just want to throw this out there. This has to do with Paramount. I'm just going to throw that out there because I'm pretty sure in the future I will work with Paramount one day, and this video might come up and they might be like, she said this and we have to kick her off the program now. That's fine, but I'm still saying it. Paramount gets on my nerves for the things that they won't do that the fans ask them, can you do? And if somebody's telling you that they're willing to pay if you just do this thing, I don't understand why you don't do this thing. Because for quite some time, Charmed, one of my favorite TV shows growing up, is a Paramount like CBS product. That TV show came out in 1998, ended in 2006. We've been asking them to remaster
Impossible
that show and put it on DVD for quite some time. And they have not said a word.
Yeah.
They'll have to see the money be worth it before they'll do it. That's really what it boils down to, unfortunately.
But if you got petitions saying we want it,
I'm gonna
petition's easy to sign
because I have
we can go live one day and talk about that, right?
Yeah, I have beef with Paramount over a lot of things, including but not excluded to the disrespect to the digital remastering. It's like the shows are old. Make them look cuter. Like we're gonna watch them. We're all paying $12 a month so we can watch the same show over again. Like make it better. Like I don't understand what's
and even if and that makes it easier if you're streaming it on your site. Take it back, remaster, just put it back on the site that I'm paying for already.
Yeah, Scott jumped into the chat and is asking about the Scorpion King films, and they did make 4 of them, I think. Where standalone.
There's 3 of the movie. There's 3 of the Mummy, and then there's a separate,
4 more
which is the Scorpion King
films.
Yes.
Right. And they get really bad, and they bring in as many bad old actors as they can to
100%
to like double down.
Years ago, I watched the first Scorpion King, and it was absolutely unintelligible. I never watched it again.
Watch that one. Yeah. I didn't know they did 3 more.
3 more, and they kept getting not like Fast and Furious, where they kind of like but no, just the 4th one is like after school special quality, really low end.
Technically,
there's more. So, oh God, don't tell me there's more than 4.
There's more. So there's the.
It's
Scorpion
like The Land
King.
Before Time. Okay, great.
It's bad, and it's all by different directors, so that should show you something. And different writers, that should show you something.
Okay, so that's something I do want to talk about with this film. This film feels like the first film. God. It feels like Stephen Sommers actually directed 2 films in the same universe, and then when you get to the 3rd film, you're like, wait, what?
What is this? What is exactly?
So for me, this film is very. I did not like this movie. I actually only saw this one time, and it was in 2001 or 2, and I walked away from this flick. This made me not want to watch the 3rd Mummy movie, and I never did until this episode. I never saw the 3rd Mummy movie.
Betsy said, "Don't insult the Land Before Time franchise."
I'm just saying there's too many of them. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm just saying there's too many of them.
No. But you saying there's too many of them is disrespecting the franchise. I'm just trying to get you clear on there. That's disrespecting the franchise.
So there's still too many of them. There's one good one, and then they made a bunch of crap. But anyway, that's what I feel.
Go easy on him, Batsy.
This movie, the CGI aside, I was willing to be like, it's 2001. If you look at other movies at the time and compare Spider-Man, which came out the same year as this movie, Spider-Man CGI was shit. I'm sorry to say it. It's go back and watch it. It's not very good. There are moments where he jumps and like goes from being Spider-Man to being CGI to Tobey Maguire and back, and the transition is awful. It's really noticeable. The practical effects in Spider-Man are what make it good. And again, in this one, I think the practical effects are what make it good. So like the stalactites falling and all those kinds of things are great. But I'm sorry there, Batsy. Sorry. Apparently I'm going to go to war with my wife on my show tonight. That's okay.
I told you. I was trying to help you, but you was like, no, but double down.
You said double down.
So
I was trying to help.
Back to this movie. So I didn't like bringing the mummy back to do almost the same story again. I didn't like let's bring a Knox on the Moon back again. And then I didn't understand the connection between the Scorpion King. I hated the kid. I hated all the hijinks in this movie. They're in London, so of course you're in London. So what do you have to have in London? Oh, it's got to be a double-decker bus. If you don't grab a double-decker bus in London, then you're not doing anything right, because that's just the way it is. And then it has this awful trope, which I hate in movies, where they run the bus into a tunnel, and instead of it stopping, like anybody who's ever seen a single video of a truck hitting a bridge,
just shave off.
It just shaves the entire top off, and I'm just like, what the fuck? I hated it. And this whole movie is kind of loaded with this. And what is interesting is the first movie takes tropes that hadn't been used in a long time, turned them a little bit, played with them, had fun. This movie was like, okay, well, let's just keep using those same tropes and turn them up. And they did the same thing in the third one. And this is something that we're going to talk about because Law and I were talking about this. They turned the tropes up to just 100 in the third film. They were just like, let's just run with them. The CGI in this one is not just the Scorpion King bad. The water scene where they're like trying to recreate, and that's this thing. This movie tried to recreate all the same things. They got the kid doing the same thing in the temple that his mom did. You got the wall of water, which is like the wall of sand. You've got all these eclectic characters for no reason out of nowhere. You've got the dude that's got the floating blimp that's basically out of Waterworld for no reason, that just like they brought into this movie. And he was able to repair it and get gas in the middle of a freaking jungle in the middle of a desert. No, so it just falls to pieces on me. And I really struggled with this movie. I found myself going, when is it going to end? When is it going to end?
I think I forgave it a little bit more because it reminded me of like the way the Stranger Things is. Like the second season of Stranger Things, right, is like what they wanted to do in the first place. And I think Burns feels like maybe what the movie that they wanted to do, but now they have the budget because the first one is like,
But I will say this though, they barely had the budget. This is what I've been like going back and forth looking at. So the Mummy had a budget of $80 million, right?
Wow.
And it only made like $416.4 million. And then they were like, "Oh, we gonna take that budget and we just gonna give y'all 18 million more." So the second one made more than the first one, but it only had a boost of 18 million in the budget.
But they didn't use clever tricks to limit the CGI.
But that's what I'm saying.
They just went all out.
They didn't do much. They just kind of like was like, well, we probably suckered them into like a salary already contracted for these two movies, so we can use this extra 18 to add some more to the CGI. Because if you look at the CGI in the mummies that Imhotep raises in the first one, and then the ones that he raises, like the same ones with the side and all that kind of stuff, you could tell those are like practical and CGI. You could tell there was actual people in those, like until they started doing like the extracurricular on the walls and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, like the scene with the water,
I like that
when he raises the water, you can tell
callbacks.
He's standing at a green screen, and then when the water's gone, they're standing at a real river. I'm like, oh god, this is very obvious, and it's fine. I don't like to knock movies too bad about their CGI.
I like the callbacks though. I like Alex being a little because to me he reminds me of his mom so much with the like the kind of like I'm smart, so I'm kind of like a hierarchy thing. It's not so much she was never like disrespectful, and neither was he in like a type of way. But all of the O'Connells, I'll say, because she's an O'Connell at this point too, like all of the O'Connells at this point have an air about them that they know that they're like clever and smart. So it's like I can get out of things because I'm clever and I'm smart. So like that didn't bother me. I like the callback to him being like, "It's a bird, it's a stork. Like, what is it?" And Jonathan's like, "Oh yeah, it's a manifest." Like, I love that callback because I just did. Like, I don't know. Like, I like the fact that they, like I said, for me personally, sequels are essentially the first one with added things, like added tweaks to it. And my thing is, if it's going to be a cult that's going to raise Emotep, he's going to come back for the same reason that he wants to come back. Like, there's no other way around it, because he got faulted the first time he came back.
That's his purpose.
That was his only purpose, is to come back. But I'm pretty sure if he would have just been like, "Yo, can I just bring my girl back? Like, y'all just leave me alone." I'm pretty sure they would have been like, "So you're not gonna end the world?" "No, I just want to bring my girl back." Okay.
See, I would like that if he made it clear that he was like, "I just want my lady." I'd have been like, "Cool, like you can become an anti-hero. I'm okay with that." You know, very much like the monster in I, Frankenstein, where he's like, "I'm really a good guy and I'm misunderstood." Shut up, Aaron Eckhart. Anyway,
I don't know. I don't know this. I like the second one. To me, a second one was an improvement on the first one because it gave all the other characters, CGI stuff aside, for me, I like the fact that it gave the characters, it just gave them more to their story.
Sure.
I feel like if the third one would have added to their story more, as opposed to just really, really removing all the back story that you gave us, I probably would have liked the third one more. But because they didn't expand upon it, you just jumped so far into the future with this child being like 20? I think he's 20 now. So you jumped 10 years.
Each movie is 10 years beyond the next one.
So you jump 10 years into the future and you don't give me.
And that guy's 20.
I'm
sorry, I don't believe that guy's 20, but that's just.
He's 55.
Not 55, but that's definitely a 30-year-old man for sure.
Well, also, why did he fall in love with her? Okay, go ahead. Let's
rate this one, and then let's do the pre-review real quick, and then we'll come back and we'll come back and talk about the third one.
Is there a pre-review? Because I don't have one.
I have one. Biggie got us one. It's here. It's ready.
So he got one. Oh, sweet.
Let's do the rating. Let's go the same order. Lieutenant Commander Ray, what do you give The Mummy Returns?
The Mummy Returns is probably like an 8.5, like a 9. I love it. I don't care. Like, I 100% see exactly what you're saying. Everything you said was 100% valid. All of the tropes, all of the nonsense. It just doesn't bother me. Sometimes those things bother me. When I think the story is lacking enough to cover it. And I think the story in this, because of the familial connection, how it clung to their characterizations, makes it a wash. So I still love it either way.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say it's like an 8.5, 9.
All right, that's solid. Tyler, from what you remember, what do you rate this film?
What I remember, I'm gonna give it 8 scorpions.
8 scorpions.
Yep, just 8 scorpions.
So 10 scarabs, 8 scorpions, and we got to find something in the third one, I guess. So
that's hilarious.
One clay pot.
One clay pot.
A
shard, a clay pot shard, even not even a whole. You know. How about you, La?
I give it 1 immortality. No.
Love it.
I'm sorry. The Mummy 2, I give this film a solid 9.5. I won't give it a 10, but I give it a solid 9.5 because to me, it just checked boxes I didn't know needed to be checked. And like Ray said, I too some things do irritate me. If certain elements in this film were in another movie, I'd be like, stupid.
100%.
Why would you do this? But in this one, for me, it works because of what they set up in the first one. To me, the second one was a good payoff to the first one. CGI withstanding, because wow. But yeah.
No, that's fair. I have to admit, there are movies I love that nobody loves, and they're tropey as hell. But there's just something about it that just resonated with me. It
just sits right with you. Just sits right.
I totally respect that, and that's why I love that we all have our kind of the way that we do this. We have our own scales. We have our own way of rating movies because it's so subjective. But
come on, King of the Goombas.
That said,
that should have been the Scorpion King is the Goomba. He should have been in a suit.
That said, I must rate this movie far lower than my panelists.
Sure.
4. It's a 4.
Oh, 4?
It's bad. It's bad.
I'm like maybe a 7, a 6, a 4?
5 if you had me in a really good mood when I watched it.
Let's get to the preview.
I had a headache.
If you had me in a headlock.
If you had me in a
I
headlock,
cannot.
Yeah.
Let's get to the pre-review because I cannot.
Oh God, really?
Look,
For me, it boils down to, will I watch this movie again? I will never put this movie on again for the rest of my life. I might watch The Mummy again.
I will watch this tomorrow.
I will not watch this again. Yeah. So.
I know where it is on every platform. I have it saved on my Roku. So it's like, I want to go watch it. Where is it now? It's on Tubi right now.
Come on. We're going.
Period.
This is your desert trek, in a sense. Like, this is your...
I'm not being facetious with you, and I want you to understand the obsession. I'm one of those people where it's a franchise. Like, I will start from the beginning and I'll keep going. But this one, I only watch 1 and 2 back to back. Whenever I'm watching one, I'm watching 2.
So you think this is like a duology, and then they made that other thing?
Absolutely.
Yes, you have to.
Like when I watch The Matrix, I watch all 3, and I will add what's the third one? Revelations. I will add that one to the mix. I will watch all 4 probably over the course of 2 days. But I watch 1 and 2. I will skip 3 again forever now that I've seen it a second time.
Yeah.
But it's 1 and 2 for life.
I would love to talk to The Matrix with Ray. I think that because we never got to do that.
That's before. Like only watching Terminator and not watching the first Terminator, like the second Terminator and not watching the first Terminator, and vice versa. That's like watching the first one and not watching the second. How can you do it? It shouldn't be possible. It should be legal. My God.
Wait, I don't know if you guys have ever done it, but like, have we ever talked about? I don't want to get off there, but the Terminator is like my top 5 favorite movies in life. Okay, so if we're doing a Terminator episode, like.
Yeah, no, we will do. Yeah, so look for a Terminator episode in the fall. We will definitely be doing one. And I think we'll have to like split it up 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm there with you.
Because we'll need to break it into 2 parts. We'll need the original trilogy, and then we'll do the rest of the films, and we'll do
a Terminator episode. It will be the episode that I take notes on specifically.
No.
I know what I'm having.
Notes app.
Yes.
Where I'm preparing at least 6 to 10 videos on the entire franchise. It's perfect in my eyes. I won't have any comments about it.
All right. Now, would you include the Sarah Connor Chronicles and all of that?
Not the shows, just the movies.
Okay, just the movies.
Because the shows is a different trajectory, but the actual 6 movies.
Because I done fought a couple of people on Terminator Genesis, but I'm just
I will fight
because
I like Genesis. I'm one of the rare people that liked it.
But I do want to. I will say this: I have not watched the Terminator films first one all the way through.
Neither have I.
Like the first one and the second one, and I go in between some of them. So if we're going to do something in the fall, I'm here for it because I have been wanting to watch all of them.
All right,
reviewed all 6 in order.
Behind
we're going to basically have like 3 franchises in Stranger Things, and that's going to be the whole year. But that's fine. That's okay. Okay, so that said, we are going to, of course, move to the pre-review. We'll be right back.
Biggie's pre-review brought to you by The Real Study, Sunday nights, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific.
Welcome to Biggie's Pre-Review. The Pre-Review is where I tell you about upcoming movies coming to movie theaters and beyond. This is for the week, July 3rd through 9th, 2023. Alright, let's get this thing started with Sound of Freedom. After rescuing a boy from ruthless child traffickers, a federal agent learns the boy's sister is still captive and decides to embark on a dangerous mission to save her. With time running out, he quits his job and journeys deep into the Colombian jungle, putting his life on the line to free her from a fate worse than death. This movie stars Jim Caviezel, Mira Sorvino, and Kurt Fuller, to name a few. This movie looks great. I'm honestly really excited to see this. It comes out on the 4th of July. Sounds like a good way to spend it. The drama thriller Sound of Freedom premieres in limited release in movie theaters starting July 4th. Next on my list is one I've been looking forward to, Insidious, The Red Door. In this horror mystery, Josh Lambert heads east to drop his son Dalton off at school. However, Dalton's college dream soon becomes a living nightmare when the repressed demons of his past suddenly return to haunt them both. This movie stars Rose Byrne, Patrick Wilson, who is also directing this, Ty Simpkins, of course, as Dalton, and Lynn Shay, to name a few. This movie is going to be as great as the rest of the movies in this series, and I'm really looking forward to it. Insidious, The Red Door premieres in movie theaters starting July 7th. Next on my list is the comedy Joyride. The hilarious and unapologetically explicit story of identity and self-discovery centers on 4 unlikely friends who embark on a once-in-a-lifetime international adventure. This movie stars Ashley Park, Stephanie Sue, and Dan Denman, to name a few. This movie looks great. It looks like it's going to have some really comedic performances in this. I'm already a big fan of Stephanie Sue. Let's go. The movie Joyride premieres in theaters starting July 7th. Next on my list is The Lesson. Liam, an aspiring and ambitious young writer, eagerly accepts a tutoring position at the family estate of his idol, renowned author J.M. Sinclair. But soon, Liam realizes that he is ensnared in a web of family secrets, resentment, and retribution. Stars Daryl McCormick, Julie Delpy, and Richard Grant, to name a few. This movie is a thriller mystery, and I'm always down for a great mystery, so let's go. The thriller mystery, The Lesson, premieres in limited release in movie theaters starting July 7th. Next up is the comedy fantasy Biosphere. In the not-too-distant future, the last 2 men on Earth must adapt and evolve to save humanity. This movie stars one of my personal favorites, Mark Duplass, and Sterling K. Brown, also, which makes this a cool team starting out right out of the gate. The movie Biosphere premieres in limited release in movie theaters starting July 7th. Next up is some comedy adventure with The Outlaws. Owen Browning is a straight-laced bank manager about to marry the love of his life, Parker. When his bank is held up by the ghost bandits during his wedding week, he believes his future in-laws, who just arrived in town, are the infamous Outlaws. This movie stars Adam Devine, Nina Dobrev, Pierce Brosnan, Ellen Barkin, and Lil Ray Howery, to name a few. This movie looks like it's going to be hilarious, and I can't wait to see it. I'm especially looking forward to seeing Ellen Barkin again. She was great in Poker Face. If you've seen that series, go check it out on Peacock. The comedy adventure The Outlaws premieres on Netflix starting July 7th. Next up on my list is a coming-of-age drama with Earth Mama. With 2 children in foster care, Gia, a pregnant single mother pitted against the system, fights to reclaim her family. In her close-knit Bay Area community, she works to make a life for herself and her kids. This movie stars Tia Nomore, Erica Alexander, and Bokeem Woodbine, to name a few. This movie looks like it's going to be a heavy-hitting drama, and I can't wait to watch it. The movie Earth Mama has a limited release in movie theaters starting July 7th. Alright, last on my list, but certainly not least, is the Italian drama comedy Amanda. Amanda, 24, lives mostly isolated and has never had any friends. Even if it's the thing she wants most, Amanda chooses her new mission as to convince her childhood friend to believe that they are still best friends. This movie stars Benedetta Porcaroli, Galatea Bellucci, and Michelle Bravi, to name a few. This movie looks like it's going to have some great dramatic moments as well as some good comedy. Italians always put out really good films. Let's go! The Italian drama comedy Amanda premieres in limited release in movie theaters starting July 7th. Well, that looks like it's all for the pre-review this week, and I hope to see you out there.
And welcome back to The Real Study. That is, of course, the pre-review with Biggie. And that is, of course, all the movies that are going to be out this week. And, of course, what Biggie thinks of them. If you have been following him long enough, you might get an idea of what you like and what you have in common. So please, of course, follow us. And you'll get more of that from Biggie again next week. That said, we have one more movie to discuss. This is, of course, The Mummy, The Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. This was...
Lord.
7 years later, they decided to make this movie out of nowhere, and here we are. Let's start
that's how
with...
it played, out of nowhere.
Let's start with Law. What did you think of The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor?
We ain't got long, so let me just go ahead and knock this out real quick. I kind of saw this movie a little bit, but then didn't really remember it. And then when I got to the part that I remembered, which was very early on, I was like, oh, I haven't seen this film at all. So again, we talked about how it jumps another 10 years. This film for me seemed so disconnected from the other two films. And honestly, it had nothing to do with Rachel Weisz not being in it. It had nothing to do with that, because I do feel like Maria Bello did a nice job.
She was fine.
She was fine. The only thing I don't like about it was that they tried to make her sound like Evelyn. And I was like, we could have just let Maria Bello have a English accent, let her do what she's supposed to do as an actor. Because Maria Bello's voice isn't high like that, and they tried to put her in that pitch, and I was like, what am I hearing? I shouldn't be hearing that.
Did you like the way they introduced her?
No.
You don't like that they were like fourth wall breaking about it, that they were like, oh, it's almost like it was a different person.
No, because
no, I hated it too.
The Fresh Prince did it better with the new Aunt Viv. All I'm gonna say is we didn't need that. We knew that it was like they don't leave a look alike. We knew there was a different actors. That was a thing. That's one of the tropes that I was like, we didn't need that. We aren't dumb. We know that this is a new, and we don't need you playing about it. I would have loved it more if they would have doubled down on her being Evelyn. It probably would have.
It's not the first time an actor has been replaced.
Right.
Come on, and it won't be the last. So like, why are we harping on it? Let's just keep the story going. And a big proponent for me in me not liking this film is the fact that Alex is a dickwad. I do not like their son. I do not like him at all.
Again, that guy's not 20. Sorry.
He said, let me go do some research. Let me see how old he was at the time this movie came out. No, like the way that they wrote, I don't like when they write young adults annoyingly, because we can't be annoying. Like I'm not even saying like I'm a young adult. Like I'm speaking like when I was one, but like young adults can be annoying. But if you have a mother that's as smart as Evelyn, a father and you've got kidnapped before and he saved your life, what's all this animosity in this family?
They didn't do a good enough job building that.
Right.
You feel me? Like you needed to show me some clips of him growing up and maybe like slamming the door. I hate you, Dad, or something. You needed to show me more.
A montage of anger and angst would have been
something of maybe.
No, because O'Connell's a great guy for 2 movies. We don't see anything negative about that character
at
all.
But in the second movie, we see this man risk everything to save his son, and then all of a sudden, you don't like me for what? So you need to show me Rick being a bad father.
Okay, yeah.
You feel me? Like you need to show me Rick being a bad father for me to jump on that bandwagon. I don't like the fact that he fell in love with this girl off at first sight. There was no chemistry between the two of them.
So weird.
What are
Not
we
only
doing?
that, why is she falling in love with a 20-year-old when she's 2,000 years old? I'm just saying.
It's
to me
very weird. Yes.
To me, I feel like this. Once you break past being 1,000 years old, you ain't gonna find nobody else 1,000 years old. If my age, if chronologically my age stops at like 20, 25, and then but I'm 5,000 years old. To me, that doesn't play a part. To me, it's the same trope as like Buffy and Angel. Like
the experience is a huge factor, though. I don't know.
Well, you ain't gonna find nobody 2,000 years old.
Then that's the downside to immortality. Sucks to be you. Stop dating the people 2,000 years younger than you. That's all I'm saying.
But her immortality wasn't her choice. Her immortality was something that was put on her. That wasn't her choice.
As Ray said, everybody deserves love. So
exactly. So I just don't like that all of a sudden he's a calmer person because he found somebody to like. Like I don't like. What if she died? Would you have gone back to being this like irritating child to your parents that only love you?
100%.
And then on top of that too, they wrote, even though Evelyn is played by a different character, she's different. Like you could tell
she's a different woman.
She's a different woman. Like you dressing up in these fancy clothes. Where's the white tops and the tan skirts and just the simplicity of your character? You got on fur and you
the 90s took me out, bro. I was weak sauce on the 90s. I was
you feel me?
We will definitely get further into this. Let's get a quick thought on Tyler. Did you get to watch this one?
I sped through it. I'll tell you that much. But from what I remember, or from what I was seeing, I thought the movie looked really good.
Like physically
I just
looked
looked
good.
At the cinematographer. Yeah, like I just looked at the cinematographer. He did like Hacksaw Ridge.
Oh wow.
With Andrew Garfield and all that. Yeah, I was like, okay, cool. Like
no, the
it
film
looks
is
good.
Beautiful. I can agree with that.
The Yetis were, the Yetis were funny.
We're gonna get into the Yetis.
But
Ooh,
I
the Yetis.
it's not that I like this movie, but I liked the things that were in it, and I like the movie that's in my mind, not this movie. Does that make sense?
So if you had just taken the characters' names, changed them, and called this something else, it might have been a fun movie.
Yeah, it just made it better. You know what I'm saying?
Honestly, it would have. If this wasn't a
Sometimes
continuation
when you
of
distance,
this movies,
yes,
I would have probably really enjoyed this because they had a lot of mythology and like pulled it from different cultures,
yes.
and they weren't in London this whole time. Like they were in China.
yes.
That would have been yeah.
Because I'm someone who likes like Uncharted and Tomb Raider, and like I was like, okay, cool. They're gonna there's a whole snow section. I'm like, cool. That's
Yeah.
Well,
fun.
they had
Like,
sand, then they had water, now they have snow.
Right.
I can see, you know.
yeah,
I
like
can see
that's
it.
fun.
Where's the air? We didn't
Yeah.
have the Avatar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How about you, Ray? What did you think this time around for The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor?
I hated it.
Yep.
So like it was like I think on like a previous episode, like I kind of gauge, I'm just like, this is like, if it's hard to get through, that's like the biggest tell. I think when I was originally watching it, I was talking about it in the Discord. Like I had paused this movie. I had rewound the first 20 minutes probably not like at least 4 or 5 times. I was just like, what is happening? It's dark. It didn't make sense. The subtitles were really hard to read, and I was like, honestly, I just don't care. It wasn't engaging. I think if you lose your audience in the first 20 minutes, you lose them.
Right.
And so this was hard. I think that like comparing it to the other movies, like the first one was really engaging because, like I said, Oded's narration, and it's giving you the history. It's like, this is what you're about to see is the thing that comes after this explanation. And I don't mind exposition. I think that there is a time and a place for it. The way that they did it was like, first of all, the de-aging on Jet was terrible. I was like, I couldn't even tell it was him until after like the third or fourth time, I'm like, is that him? I had to get right on top of my screen. I'm like, this is not good.
Yeah.
The story, I just was feeling very now we're talking about convoluted. I think that the story was like, we have to find a way to introduce Maria, which like you don't like. I prefer it the way soap operas do, which is they give you a little
They don't even talk about it. They barely talk about
Maria is now playing Evelyn, and move on with your business. Move. I don't even care if she sounded like her regular American self, because Alex now sounds American, which
you feel me?
They did change that.
Like, well, what does it matter at this point? And yes, I do feel like a disconnection with the franchise, but that also, like we were saying, like I don't mind the ideology being similar. It's like, this is supposed to be a similar vein as this, which like I've separated like the movie Into Darkness, which we talked about last fall, from the Kelvin timeline. I think it's not a good Star Trek movie. I think if you don't know that character is Khan, who's supposed to be in the Wrath of Khan, then Benedict is a perfectly good John Harrison in that movie. Tracks. It's a 9 out of 10. You know what I mean? But within the Star Trek franchise, it's trash. I hate it.
So this is a fun adventure movie,
sense,
but not a good mummy movie.
I think that I can get over the falling in love at first sight, even though she's absolutely trying to kill you. I can get over that. I think I can get over, again, we said Jonathan, he doesn't have an arc, but he doesn't need an arc. He's rich uncle. He's in his bag. He's only after the money, and that's fine for him.
Protect his family and the money. That's it.
Maria is a good action actress. She always has been. And so I think she would have been fine in this role. I honestly would have, and this is maybe a hot take, we love the Rick and Evelyn love story, but love doesn't always last. And it would have made more sense that what the divide between Rick and Alex was divorcing Evelyn and him having a new wife after 10 years. Because married men who get divorced marry back quick. My brother's father-in-law has already been married twice after his first wife died, and they were together for 45 years.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's not impossible that that he could have fallen in love with someone else who is in line with the same things he likes, history, Egyptian artifacts. He's a treasure hunter, essentially. Like, that makes sense that this woman may have also fallen in the same circles, and he saw her at some event, and now Alex doesn't want anything to do with his dad, because how could you fall in love with someone after mom? You know what I mean? Like, that would have made this make sense as a step.
Or I'm just gonna put this out there. I'm gonna throw this out there, and then Sniddy, you tell us how you felt about the film. I'm just gonna put it out there. Or instead of recasting, how about Evelyn died, and then that's why the divide between Rick and Alex happened, because she was the glue that kept them together, and now they have to figure out how to redo that. So when all this drama happens, and they have to protect one another and save each other, and Yetis and blah 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 blah, the rest of that
all
makes
of the
sense.
above.
Yeah, no, Evelyn did feel like a set piece in this.
Correct. And it's like reintroducing her and making her a novelist when we have no inclination from the first movie that she ever wanted to write a book. She loved reading books to gain knowledge, which is
my
not
thing
the
is,
same thing
but
as
my
being a
thing is,
novelist.
I hated that. If she was going to write a book, it was going to be about artifacts or going to go dig or something about. She would not have been writing no romance novel.
Not at all.
It would have been a scholarly
Not at
book
all.
about the dig she did. It would have been about Emotep.
Right.
Because she experienced
even if it was about her, I feel like even if it was about her adventures with
mysteries to
with
facts,
Rick and him and all that kind of stuff, it would have been like this was it would have read like a journal as opposed to like a romantic novel, right? So it would have been like, this is how you find this, and
you could have had that be the narration of the film, even, because it could have been her speculating about the tomb of the Dragon Emperor. I don't know. There's 100 things they could have done different, because they literally just were like, these are the basic tropes. Let's
a couple other things. Yes, one of the like biggest rumors, maybe even for sure things at this point, is that Rachel didn't like the script, and that's why she decided not to do it. She was also pregnant, but also she didn't believe that they looked old enough to have a 20-year-old son, which I think is also ridiculous. But I mean, given what she looks like now from when this movie came out, she looks the same. So they could have easily had a 20-year-old child back then. The way that she looks then, like, you look old enough to have a 20-year-old.
But also, let's call it spade a spade. If you just want to do it. I feel like this. She should have stayed with the whole like the movie was stupid, and that's why I didn't want to be in it, because she was correct on that. If this was like the script that they gave her, and I would have read it and been like, no, because how you got me fighting in one, and then I'm pretty much not really doing anything in this one. Like, I'm just like
she had a gun and she fought some mummies.
But also
why are they mummies? They're not mummies.
Her biggest thing is being shocked that her 20-year-old son has had sex with women.
No, I know.
That whole storyline was weird.
I don't care.
I'm just like, ma'am, what are we doing at this point? Like, what are we doing with this character? How are we writing this? She should have stuck with the I don't like the thing, because my whole thing is this. I wish they would have killed her, because when they said that Rachel Weisz wasn't coming back, I was a little annoyed when that first got announced. I was like, oh, they should kill her character then. They should have killed her off. She killed her off.
See, I didn't know. I turned this movie on, and I'm watching, and all of a sudden they get to that scene, and I'm like, really?
Oh, you didn't know she wasn't in it?
I didn't know. So I was expecting Rachel Weisz, and got to the scene and went, oh, that sucks.
No, that didn't.
And then I went, okay, so this is just a cash grab, because that's literally all it is. Brendan, this is some of the worst acting I've ever seen from Brendan Fraser.
He was a shallow,
not dialed in. He was literally
as the character,
just kind of doing going through the motions. The kid they picked to play his son, no charisma. Even like two actors. Jet Li, I think, is one of the better martial arts artists that has come over and become an actual actor. And I love him in things like The One or Lethal Weapon 4. He's great. He's menacing. Like, he can play both sides, even where he can play a good guy and a bad guy. That's not something most people can do. So seeing him in this, I'm just like, he's so flat and so boring.
100%.
We didn't get to see any real martial arts from him. Like,
you
hired a martial artist, and you didn't put any of that in here. Like, what are you doing?
They didn't give him anything. The best scene to me out of this whole film was watching him and Michelle Yeoh fight. Yeah, that was like the best scene. Was watching them fight. I was like, in my lifetime, I get to see these two people on screen fight. I felt like
I don't mind the jump to China. I don't mind the concept of bringing in more than just Egyptian lore. That didn't bother me. But the choices they made and continuing to call them mummies when they're just like undead, that doesn't necessarily make them a mummy.
They're definitely more undead.
Is a thing
Absolutely.
that has to be done with a ceremony. You're not automatically a mummy because you come back to life. So like that would make zombies mummies, and zombies and mummies are not the same thing. We can get into that.
Zombies, for sure.
And so these were just undead soldiers from an evil undead general. And some of those, the general betrayed me, so I don't trust any generals. I'm like, you knew he was going to betray you. How did you not know he was going to betray you? You could tell.
You made him promise not to let anyone be with her, and then you sent him to the mountains with her. Like, sir, what did you think was going to happen?
Definitely knew.
Like,
I feel like it was like an Avatar Azula thing. Like you should fear me more than you love this person. Like you should fear me more.
Agreed.
I feel like that's the way he was looking at it.
No one
not at all.
That's how love works.
But again, these people don't feel love or know love, so they don't know. They think
true. He only wanted to possess her.
Yeah,
sure.
Another major complaint: the CGI in this should have been better for when it came out. The CGI of the Yetis
everything about the CGI was
the CGI of the dead.
Honestly, so painful.
It really was.
The fact that he kept cracking himself before he got in the pool,
it made me want to throw up.
Right.
Like it made me want to throw up. I was like, this is disgusting. Like it's not like because he would break off the terracotta and then he would
be like a burnt skin or something. Yeah,
it made me want to throw up every time.
Yeah, it was bad. Actually, I have a couple of shots here. Let me bring those up since we do
Come
have
on,
them.
shots.
Where are they? So yeah, we've got this one, which is actually a great shot. This is one of the best CG shots of the movie, and it's when he's got the kind of the fireballs and the balls aligning. It's a very cool shot.
Yeah.
But that's the only cool shot. Then you get this of him as the coming back to life, which is just whatever. I don't understand this. Then you get the general that's out on the field with all the other mummies, if you will. Just I don't know. It didn't feel
disrespected for Russell Wong. Like I felt disrespected for him. Like this is what you did. Like with his whole entire Russell Wong is
a phenomenal actor. Not only that, he fonded him up, but so it's just like.
What are we doing?
Right.
What's happening?
It felt like they didn't know where to put and use any of the actors in this movie.
No.
A number of them were not cast well.
And they didn't give me to me this felt like because this is a legacy, these are like legacy films essentially. This felt like the Skywalker saga, like a Skywalker legacy. Like we only focus on the Skywalkers, and anything around that doesn't get the same attention or the same love or the same respect. So like you want to respect like the O'Connells and make sure that their relationship is great. But like I was really because like I told you, I only seen this up to a certain point, and then I haven't seen the rest of it. So when it got to the end and they brought her daddy back, and all he did was just like nod at her. I was like, this is magic. We could get 5 minutes.
That's her daughter.
Correct. 5 seconds of them face to face.
Yes.
Can we go into the fact that Michelle Yeoh's character?
The only time you have ever seen your daughter.
Right. Can we
ever?
I know, and how did Jet Li's character recognize who she was? Like he didn't ever meet her. He just knew who she was. But can we also talk about how Michelle Yeoh gave up her immortality and then couldn't walk back into the pool of immortality? Is it like a rule that you can't go in again?
No, that was a promise. That was the reason for the spell. Was that she had to give it. She had to sacrifice her. Right, she had to sacrifice her immortality. She couldn't sacrifice it and then renege on it.
Why not? They already would have been out there fighting. I don't know. I just didn't like that. So
Shangri-La probably would have disappeared.
I know. So she's also a good character, so she can't do it by tropes, so she's not allowed to. So the plot wouldn't let her. I agree. So can we talk about one more thing? And this is maybe a nitpicky thing, but it feels like this is an Asian concept, of Asians, lore, yet made by white directors and writers. And so it baffles me when we get to the dragon part that we don't get an Asian dragon, we get a European dragon, and it's not even a dragon. This is what really pisses me off. If you know your dragons in your lore, it's a wyvern because it actually has the hands are part of the wings, which is not a dragon. A dragon should have wings and 4 legs. Wyverns have two wings like bats and then big legs, and that's it. So it's a
And more
three-headed
Chinese dragons I believe they're
wyvern.
like thinner. They're
Yeah.
like thinner and longer.
Right.
They're not as like our like
They should have been
American
much
dragons
longer,
are like English
right?
dragons are like
Totally.
bulkier type of dragon.
I don't think that they highlighted well in the curse that she put on him that he would be able to transform into anything until he came back and was like, "Oh my god!" and he can take any form. And I was like, "When was that part of the magic?"
No, that's what I was thinking that too. I was like,
What was that?
did I miss something? I was like, how is he Imhotep all of a sudden? Like,
Well,
how?
yeah, no. But
Because
he's the Dragon King, so he has to be able to turn into a dragon because the Scorpion King turned into the, you know.
I was just like,
Uh,
what are we doing at this point? I was just like, I was okay. And here's okay. I'm gonna say this. Okay, I'm gonna say this. Then we can wrap up. We can do whatever we want. We can rate. I don't like relationships that don't matter. They don't need to be in the film if they don't matter, if they don't have a significant part to the film. Like I would have liked it, even if Alex, you could tell that Alex liked her, you could tell she liked him. She easily told him like, yo, I'm immortal, so we can never be together. You're gonna die, and I'm just gonna chill. So like,
But couldn't he go into the pool then?
No, he definitely could have, but she didn't offer that. But I don't know how. But again, we don't get that part of the mythology. They don't talk about, right? Because even Jonathan thought that Shangri-La was like a fake thing, and she was just like, "It's like, bro, you didn't see mummies come back from the dead. Shangri-La real. Like, let's not." Like,
No, I hate it in movies, especially in a third film. Where like, how I'm
let's
like,
not be
what?
Let's not be that daft. It's kind of similar to like Buffy when like the Initiative shows up, and then the guy is like, "Yeah, the Slayer is like a myth that doesn't exist." You literally have a pen full of supernatural creatures.
You have demons in your basement, but the Slayer
you have demons in your
real.
basement. But the Slayer is a thing that's like, doesn't exist.
It's like in it's like I think what is it Endgame when Natasha's like or Infinity War, I guess, when Natasha's like whichever one it is, she says that she exchanges emails with a raccoon. It's like anything is possible. Like
you feel me?
This
She was like,
know.
She was like,
you've seen a man with a scorpion. You've seen a city sucked up into the earth.
You've seen
like,
sand
this man
flying
came back
at
from
you
the
with a
dead
face,
twice.
You know?
Like that anything is possible.
Come on,
You've
anything
seen
is
the plague
possible
from the Bible. Like don't.
Well, and
act
not
like
only that,
this
but
isn't a
they've
real
even
place. It's
had
like, where is
somebody
it?
come back from the dead multiple times. Like people are being resurrected and.
Like not even that. Your sister died. Your sister died and came back.
Right.
Multiple times, twice.
Right.
You have proof that she is the descendant of a princess.
Right.
Like,
which means so are you technically. So anyway. So.
But okay.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we don't like this movie as a whole.
Nope.
So I see why they did the
quick
poster.
fun fact though.
Sure.
The writers are they helped write Smallville, the Wednesday show.
Wow.
No, but you got to start somewhere in your career, and if you're willing to,
Very
make
true.
this movie,
Very true.
That said, we are definitely going to be wrapping up the show here, but like I said, next week we've got some horror movies we're going to be doing. Yes.
Can I just say?
Sure.
Can I just say? I just saw a line. It said an earlier version of the writer's script contained many callbacks to the previous films that went unused. So I'm not going to put this on the writer. I'm going to put this on the court. I'm going to put this on the company that I think they pushed them back a bit. Yeah. So
who made these movies? I didn't catch is it Universal?
It's Universal.
Yeah, they are Universal because they're the Mummy. Duh. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, they're Universal. Yeah.
Not somebody. Who's Kyle mentioning Romeo Must Die in the comments?
Yeah.
Do you think it's time for them to do a Mummy revival?
Never.
They plan on it. Y'all didn't know that?
Wasn't Tom Cruise the one that?
No. I'm talking to Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz. Bring them all back.
I wouldn't like that. I don't need that at all. I think the first two are solid. We got these other two for people that like those other two.
But they could map Brendan Fraser's face, right? They can like.
No, I mean, if I'm calling the spade a spade, I'm calling the spade a spade. To me, Brendan Fraser still looks like a handsome man for Hollywood standards. In Hollywood standards, if he just lost like 50 pounds, he could probably get right back into the role that he was going into. I still like Brendan Fraser as an actor. I don't think his weight changes anything.
I mean, I like the way he looks. So
I like the way he looks too. Like I don't have a problem with it. But that's why I said from Hollywood standards, if he lost like 50 pounds, then they would be like, be on board with them doing things.
Like what? He's like 6'3", right?
But that's so it's just like
he's also the king of dad jokes. Let's just be very clear about that.
Oh, thanks. So I don't need. And my thing is this: if they're going to reboot this whole franchise, because like Tyler said, they tried to do that with the Tom Cruise one, but people didn't like how dark it was, like what they were trying to do. They were just like, this is not what I signed up for. I feel like if they wanted to do this again, it would have to be similar to how they did Jumanji, the Jumanji continuations.
I could get in that.
Where it was still in the world. They still made a reference to Alan Parrish into that world, but they just they tweaked it and made it work for the time that they're in now. Because now if you did a Mummy movie, it would have to be like this took place in 2022 or 21. It has to be very updated, modern and it has to have callbacks. Maybe they go and see the O'Connells for help. Maybe they old or something, or maybe they see Alex
do
or
a
something.
vacation thing where it's just they show up at the end to help out,
something like that. They're like, well, we got the sense that something was happening. We like somebody broke something like we usually do. Like I don't know. They would have to make it so that like maybe they had more kids, or maybe they kids had kids or something. I don't know. Like I don't know, but I don't.
Well, no, they're too old to be playing or too young to be playing grandparents though. They can't play grandparents yet. Sorry. That said, let's do a rating. Let's go around the horn. Tyler, give us your rating.
From what you guys are saying, I'm going to give it a solid 5. It seems like this movie has a lot of...
5 is probably reasonable for you.
Yeah, has a good, has quite a bit issues, mummy issues. And yeah, that's it.
I'm going to overuse that sound. I'm sorry. How about you, Law? What do you rate the Tomb of the Dragon Emperor?
Tomb of the Emperor's New Groove.
I know, I haven't seen that either. Everybody keeps telling me to watch that. I'm
sorry.
No touchy. What?
We're gonna speak past that.
Yeah,
you've never seen The Emperor's New Groove?
No, I've seen clips of it, but I've never seen it straight through. People keep telling me to watch that. They keep telling me to watch that.
Squeaking?
For the record, that's in the top 5 I was mentioning of perfect movies.
Okay,
it's pretty.
Give me your top 5. Give me your top 5, and I'll watch them.
Okay.
I give this movie a 4. And it gets a 4 simply because of Michelle Yeoh and Jet Li. They're the only ones that can bump it up a little bit for me, because anything Jet Li touches, I'm like, let me take a gander. Anything Michelle Yeoh touches, let me take a gander. And to see them two on screen, to me, that was like magic. To me, it was like watching The Forbidden Kingdom and seeing Jet Li and Jackie Chan on screen together, like just magic. Nice. So yeah, it gets a 4 from me.
All right. Ray.
Yeah, I was gonna say of the 10, it's only gonna get a 3 just because of Michelle. Everything else I could lose. 1 for Brendan, maybe, just because he was in it.
So 4
I think
total.
They wrote him terribly. I'm not willing to go 4, so I'll go 3.5.
Okay,
I respect that.
3.5 Yeti.
Yeah, throw in my 4. Throw in Brendan Fraser in there too.
We didn't talk about the Yetis. The Yetis were pointless, and I didn't understand them sacrificing themselves for humans. They didn't know
the football score.
Yeah,
I almost cut the whole movie off. I almost cut it off.
Because how do they know about that? How do they know about that?
They're Yetis.
They're Yetis. How do they know about that?
But why do the Yetis have anything to do with any of this?
Because Shangri-La and Yetis, that seem to be a thing, and the people that live there are connected to the Yetis, so they're willing to help them because they help the mother become immortal, essentially, from what it seems like.
Yeah, and they said that. But why are they helping the pasty people? I didn't understand.
Because she asked them to. That's the only reason. Okay. Because she was like, "Help us into the wind," and they just popped up out of nowhere, and I was like, "Okay, all right."
That's fair.
I would think Yetis will have their own language, but okay. I mean.
They were like, Yeti.
You feel me? She just yelled it to, here you go, Tyler. She just yelled it to the wind. She was just like, yeah, and they just showed up.
They said,
They just showed up.
How do they speak English?
They're from the Himalayas. How do they speak English? I don't get that.
They are like mythological creatures.
I know, but it's not like they have babblefish or anything. They don't. I don't know.
As with most magic and fantasy in movies, the logic you gotta just keep moving.
I don't know.
Oh, I don't agree.
But you would think she's 2,000, which means that the mother might be 7,000 or 5,000 or something like that. However it is, right? You would think that they would have learned the Yeti's language by that time. I would have think the Yetis spoke more like the Yetis from Rise of the Guardians. Remember when Santa Claus has those Yetis in Rise of the Guardians? And they're like, I would have expected them to sound like that. Then for her to just be like, help us, and then they come down like, they just know how to. They just know what to say.
Abominable anyway. So
those are the Yetis. Just putting it out there. They look more like werewolves to me, but whatever. They look like werewolves. Okay, for myself, this movie is going to get. It's a 1.
I respect it.
It's a 1.
I ain't mad at nobody's score.
I will never watch this movie again. You couldn't.
I'll never watch this again.
No, you could pay me. You could pay me to watch it, but it's going to take at least 3 figures to make me.
You got to pay a whole check for something, a bill.
I need at least a Benjamin or
a car payment. I would even settle for an electric bill. Okay,
it has to be worth.
You could cover half a grocery bill for me. Yeah, I can handle that.
It has to be worth my while. That's what the payment is. It has to be worth my while. If it's not worth my while, you can have a grand old day. Okay.
I have to be able to buy one of those Yetis.
I wouldn't mind one of the Yetis as a friend. That'd be great.
That's all I want. I want a Yeti cup. That's all I want.
Oh, so we're not talking about the water bottle? Because I would go for a water.
No, that's what I'm talking about. I want a little Yeti cup. That's all I want.
Wait, they had it. Wait. Oh, Yeti.
Yeti
never
cup.
mind. Yeti.
You said for the Yeti. For the Yeti.
Yeti. Yeah. Took me a minute.
Yeti.
With that said, as always, thank you to Biggie for the pre-review. Thank you to Aina for all of her work behind the scenes. I hope you're feeling better. She needs our good thoughts. Thank you to you 3 for being great hosts and being here with me. And then, of course, thank you to Brian.
Snitty, for the amazing questions that you provide in the midst of our chaos.
I do try.
Yes.
And then, of course, Brian, we will hopefully see you next week. We will, of course, have our final episode of season 2 next week, which I can't believe we're coming to the end of season 2. But here we are. And then we will be picking up in the fall as always, but I'll probably be in a different place when we pick up season 3. Hopefully you guys might find me in the Midwest. Crossed, so we'll see.
And I might be with him one day. You never know. I might just be in the same room with him one day and while we're reviewing stuff. You never know.
Well, if I'm
also,
in the
thank
Midwest,
you to everybody.
So.
Yeah, thank you to everybody that came into the chat that's talked, Scott and Betsy and Kyle and Biggie. I hope I didn't miss anybody. If I did, I'm so sorry. But thank you guys for being here and talking. You add value to what we're talking about. Yes. We can all just sit here and talk to each other. We have no problem with that. But when you guys are talking with us, it just adds a layer that we couldn't add ourselves. So we want to thank you for joining us.
We're usually giggling at your comments. If you're like a little snicker out of the
literally
from you guys, no doubt.
And and if we don't say your stuff out loud, don't think we don't read it and we don't see it because we do. We try to comment in the chat itself as opposed to like interrupting in the show unless we just feel compelled to do it. But we read everything and we snort at everything. So
Truth. That said, this has been episode 34 of The Real Study. We hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
Peace out. Have a good 4th. Happy birthday, guys.
That's a wrap.
And that's on Scarab. You feel me?
That's a Scarab.
And that's on Scarab.
Maybe fuck yourself.